Hello and welcome to episode 71 of the XboxEra Podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined, as always, by Shpeshal Nick.
What's going on?
Now, I was on holiday last week, but the week before I definitely screwed up with all the audio. Can I just check that everything is working? Just let me know, chat, that I haven't mispressed a button, and I've got all in holiday mode.
Can we be heard?
Yeah,
is there
I'm
audio?
Sure we can. No one's complaining. It's fine.
No one's saying anything yet, so I guess we're okay.
So, what a week. What a week. And it's kind of like been a little break for me. So, I watched your attempt at the hosting of this podcast last week. I thought you did an admirable job, sir. An admirable job.
I need more practice. I've done it a couple of times now, so
it's always a bit nerve-wracking. Like if something technical happens, it's just like, yeah. But yeah, it's nice to see.
That's why it was lucky that it was a pre-recorded episode. Pre-recorded episodes I'm okay with. I don't know if I'm ready for live yet.
Yeah, live is terrifying. But it's nice to see so many wonderful, familiar faces and names in the chat, which is always good. Yep. We love hanging out with you guys. Before we get into the news of the week, as always, and I think we've probably both got a fair bit to talk about this week. Have you been playing, and it's been 2 weeks technically from my perspective. Have you been playing any games recently?
I've been playing a lot of Hades, like way more of Hades than I thought I would. Like I'm actually shocked at how much I keep going back to that game. It's like in theory I shouldn't like it. Like when you describe a roguelike, it doesn't sound like something I would enjoy, like having to start over and all that sort of stuff. But it's funny, the three roguelikes I've played, 3, 4, I've enjoyed all of them. Like I loved West of Dead, very, very similar to Hades. Love Hades. Zombie U is technically a roguelike.
Yeah, I suppose, because you go find your old body, don't you?
That's right. You die and you go all the way back to the start. But the twist is that the world is kind of, I guess, live, for want of a better phrase. And you just go right back to where you were, find your dead body and grab all your stuff again. So that it's a bit of a twist on it. For those of you that haven't played Zombie U, obviously you're probably not going to be playing it on the Wii U, but it is on Xbox and PlayStation, so you can play it there. But it's actually, I really liked it.
Yeah, nifty game.
But Hades is, man. And I've beat it once. The other 2 times I got all the way to the end, I've died. It's very, very hard. Yeah. Hades is tough. He's very tough.
Yeah,
it's good.
I managed to try Hades just before I went away. So a friend of mine came to sort of house sit for me and do a bunch of odd jobs, so it was kind of like he was working but also feeding my cat, so it worked out. And I was like, oh, Hades is available, let's try that. And like we were suddenly up till 2 a.m. the day before literally the night before I left to go on holiday. And yeah, that game is addictive. And by the time I returned, he was like, oh, yeah, it's like an onion and he's peeling across more layers. And then there's more stuff to level up and undo and change. And
yes.
Yeah, it scares me a little bit, but it just plays so well. I think that's one of the big reasons it carries its way through and forward so well. It's really good. Great ad to have on Game Pass for sure. I'm seeing a lot of love out there for it. Did you try 12 minutes yet?
Not yet, no. Not. I know it just went live, yesterday? Day before?
Yeah, couple of days ago, I think.
I haven't as yet. That's the next one I need to get to. But, it's tough to pry myself away from Hades at the moment. So
understandable. It's not a game that's for everyone. I really enjoyed it, but I grew up on sort of point-and-click adventure games. I think everybody should try it. But it's definitely not going to gel well with a lot of people because of the fact that it's a time loop. Like, and you think of films like Groundhog Day or, I was going to call it Live, Die, Repeat, which is Edge of Tomorrow. Sorry,
Edge
it
of
got
Tomorrow.
renamed.
Such a good movie.
Right, but you kind of get little laugh-along comedy hints about the tedium of a time loop because every time you die it resets and you have to try again the same stuff. And it sounds great on paper, but for some, going through that rigmarole over and over again in a game, especially if you hit some sort of roadblock and you don't know what to do next. Oof, it's rough.
Yeah.
Because you'll spend.
Yeah.
But there's lots of interesting things going on in that game and lots of different endings to peruse. Definitely recommend it. And for those that didn't know, I will be speaking and interviewing the developer on Monday. It won't be live or anything, but I'll try and either get that out Monday night or Tuesday some point, and have a chat with him and take some questions from the community. So if you've been playing 12 minutes and you want to quiz the brain of Luis Antonio, who's the director of the game and the creator, drop a question in the chat and we'll I love live chat. I do.
Well.
I'm fine with it. For our audio listeners, the Xbox Hunter 1.0, which implies that there's levels to this madness, says, "It's over for Halo. You and Jeff Grubb are clown emojis, Nick. Crying with laughter emoji." Beautiful. Thank you for your $2. Yeah,
the Santa Monica avatar and everything.
Yeah, it's great. Can spoilers be discussed with the 12 minutes developer from 10 Feet Up? It will be a spoiler-filled interview, is my hope. I'm not going to, if you haven't finished it yet, or you're halfway through, don't watch it until you're done, I would suggest. But yeah, it is going to be spoiler-filled because there's a lot of... I have questions. I have questions about some of the design choices. I have questions about how he came up with the story. There's lots of things going on there. I don't want to spoil it for you, Nick, if you haven't played it yet. So...
no.
Yeah.
I don't really care about spoilers anyway, but yeah, that's fine.
It's a storyline that is ruffling probably a few feathers out there because it takes some choices. It takes some turns.
Okay.
And I have to mention it while I'm on the subject of 12 minutes. If you haven't watched the video review, go watch it. Just not to hear my dulcet tones, but for Pre-Drag's awesome intro. Because
I saw that, it was good.
It's so clever because I was watching the sequence because there's a credit sequence like that in the game. I was like, oh, dude, do you reckon? I sent him a clip of it. I was like, do you reckon you can, edit it out and do this and that with it? And he was like, I won't edit that footage, but I'll come up with something. And then he just pinged me that like 3 hours later, like, yeah, like it's nothing. And I'm just like,
yeah,
he's so good.
That was good. That was really good.
So good. Do you know what, Xbox Hunter? I'm not obligated to read out your nonsense, so I won't. Thanks for your money. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
He doesn't understand. I'm almost on his side on that one.
yeah. When we get to the Halo point, you'll probably be nodding along with Nick. Okay.
I was about to say, buddy, I reckon you don't realise which side I'm on with that.
Oh, it cracks me
Probably
up.
Doesn't watch us enough.
No, he probably doesn't. He probably thinks we're one of those completely fanboy type podcasts. Sorry. Anyway, yes, we will get to Halo, but let's save that juicy, meaty middle for somewhere further on. We've got some other things to talk about this week, and I think the first one I wanted to bring up, even though it's not in the order that you've written them, Nick, is something that's very close to your heart, something that means a lot to you. Is one of the biggest features.
We're going to go into that now. You don't want to get the other stuff out of the way.
No,
that's going to go for a while.
I want to do it now. I'm ad-libbing here.
That's going to go for a while.
Is it? Let's talk about it. Because I've noticed you've written in the notes. All I've saw this week, and I didn't actually pay attention too much because I didn't care.
That's what I mean. I wrote that as if it was written by Xbox Hunter.
Oh, there you go.
That's why it's...
Just for the benefit of the audience, we're talking about the increased UI resolution of the Xbox.
Increased resolution UI.
Nick has written it as FauK. FauK dashboard.
Because it is. It's fake 4K. It's not 4K. Like, I woke up that morning to so many pings on the forum, the Discord, Twitter, all these pings. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I thought something huge happened. So I see all these pings and everyone's like, 4K dashboard, Nick, 4K dashboard. I'm like, finally. Mind you, I woke, it was first thing in the morning, 7 a.m., so I didn't read the whole thing properly. And I'm like, oh yeah, 4K dashboard. So I saw the tweet and I retweeted it and I was all excited. But then I actually read it in more detail. I read the blog post and I'm reading. I'm like, this isn't a 4K dashboard. They're like, if you have a 4K display, you will now have access to an increased resolution UI or increased native resolution UI. And I'm like, this isn't a 4K dashboard. If it was 4K, they'd just say it's 4K. Like, and I think all they did was like up the res on like the text and a few UI elements and blah, 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 blah.
So it's
I mean, yeah.
It'll look nicer in general, but it's still not that full fat 4K HDR dashboard that you were looking for.
Oh, HDR, I've never complained about. Like, I understand the people that are complaining about HDR because if you've got, I mean, with the LG, it does it a lot. Like, when you switch from a game back to the dashboard on Xbox, it does a temporary.
Yep, I get the same thing.
It does a temporary. Jeff Grubbs in the chat.
Oh no!
It does a. Hey Jeff, did you see? We just got called out, buddy. Look up in the chat. We just got called out.
Yeah, you're a clown, Jeff Grubb. You're a clown.
Yeah, Jeff, we're clowns. It does this black screen of death before bringing back the image, and it's because it's switching from HDR to non-HDR. So I think that's part of the reason Sony kept everything in HDR on there so that it doesn't do that.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart choice because I do find it irritating, especially if I'm capturing footage. Sometimes it causes my capture card to go wonky, and I'm like, I've got to turn it off and all sorts of stuff.
And I'm more worried about what it's doing to the TV long term.
What, flicking?
As well, that constant switching. It can't be a great thing. I mean, it's either doing nothing or it's doing damage. It wouldn't be helping the TV in any way. The HDR thing wasn't my issue. My issue was just the 4K UI. Like, it's a powerful 4K console. I have a 4K TV. I'd like everything in 4K.
Yeah.
Like, it's
for sure.
Surely it's like, I get that people don't care. I understand. Everyone has different priorities. I understand. Everyone has different priorities. But to me, it's disingenuous, the attitude some people have towards the people that do care. Like, what's more reasonable? Wanting something 4K for your 4K TV or wanting something 1080p or less for your 4K TV? Like, it's not like we're being crazy people wanting something 4K for our 4K TV. It's okay if you don't care.
Yeah, that's
more
fair.
Power to you. That's fine. More power to you. But don't condescend to people that want 4K content for their 4K TV. It's not too much to ask for. Like, and the whole extra gig of RAM for games thing, I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. Like,
well, are you thinking the reasoning that it isn't native 4K is because they're using the extra memory to give to games rather than worrying about powering a dashboard?
Well, that's what they claim. Like, my guess is, like, surely most people know now that the Xbox OS is a bit of a Frankenstein monster dog's breakfast mix of the original dashboard based on Windows 8 kernel, some of the Windows 10 kernel, the hypervisor stuff, suspend resumes, running 360 games, because we've just found out that the OS actually improves the performance of games.
Yep.
So this OS is clearly doing a lot of stuff. That's undeniable. It is doing a hell of a lot of stuff, way more than anyone else's is. But I feel like Windows is similar, isn't it? Aren't there still remnants of Windows 95 even in Windows 10? Like,
I saw that they just redesigned Paint.
Yes, I saw that too.
That really upset me. It's like, don't change Paint.
Like, that's Microsoft's thing. There's remnants of ancient stuff even in the new stuff. Like, fun fact, here's a story I've never told anyone. I can't prove this, and Microsoft will never admit it. Snap is not gone. Snap is still in the Xbox dashboard. But I know they said they've gotten rid of Snap. Yeah. But it's not gone. Snap is still there.
But what do you mean?
What I think has happened, I'll tell the story. This is a story I haven't even told you. I haven't even told you this story in private. So, the Twitch app. I found by accident that there was 2 versions of the Twitch app, and I've now lost the original version, and I'm devastated. You know why? Because the original version of the Twitch app still snaps.
Wow.
I found this by accident. After they had gotten rid of Snap, I ran the version of the Twitch app that I had to stream.
Yeah.
and it snapped. Everything went smaller. It side loaded, and I was running everything from the side, and I was like staring at my screen going, oh my God, Snap is still there. So I don't think they actually got rid of Snap. What they did was they told all the app makers that supported Snap to not have Snap in their app anymore.
Yeah.
And then I got rid of that Snap Twitch app thinking, oh yeah, I'll update to the new version because they're still snapping and the new one doesn't snap anymore. And I was absolutely gutted. But the point of that story is to sort of demonstrate that this OS is probably this dog's breakfast Frankenstein's monster of an OS that's still got so many bits and pieces of it. It's probably being held together with cobwebs, and they're worried that if they push on it too much, it's all just going to come tumbling down, which is why, like, think about it. They're beta testing nothing more than an increased resolution.
Yeah.
Like, they're beta testing it. Like, I mean, if that doesn't speak volumes, then what does? Like,
yeah, maybe. You know, like I'm not a software engineer, right? But I do think there are some things that you think surely you can just flip a switch on that, right? You're just talking about an output. You know, the TV will handle whatever signal you give it. Like, why do you need to test that element? You could just flip whatever proverbial switch. But I know that flipping switches is a phrase that Microsoft hate, right? Ever since 2013. But yeah, like, you know, I haven't seen the new Dash. I'm not in the insider ring for dashboard updates and things like that. There's no point. In my opinion, it all comes fairly regularly. But it never bothered me in the first place. But yeah, I get it. You know, for those that want their Dash on, and you've got, you know, the fancy 4K TV, you want it to look as crisp and as clean as possible. I'm not going to poo-poo it, but at least they seem to be making some attempts to make that slightly better in some aspects.
I think they're building towards it. They're probably building towards a full 4K Dash. They're doing it in bits and pieces, seeing how far they can poke at the cobwebs without completely breaking it.
Yeah.
So they're starting with like the text and UI and this and that, and eventually they'll probably build up to total 4K.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I mean, in some ways,
which is fine.
As much as you and I, you know, I think we both said this before the Series X and S launched last year. We were like kind of bummed that we didn't have a new UI, right? We were kind of like,
Yeah, I was okay with that.
I'm kind of sad.
I was fine with that.
You know, when I look back on it now, I think, you know, they made the right choice because everything works so well. And you know, I think we've seen probably on the other side of the fence, I can't remember whose article was it that I read the other day that was just like, I hate this. I never use these things. Like, why is everything hard?
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, that was why they avoided doing it, I think, was because, building all that stuff again from scratch just to look new is arguably a bit tricky. So, not gonna complain.
I said it. I don't know why they did it. They had the PlayStation 4 UI in a good place. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest UI, but they had it in a good place. And then they went and blew it all up for these activity cards that no one uses. Like, everyone says the same thing. Why do I have to press 103 buttons just to turn off the console? Like, it's ridiculous. And, you know, it's funny. A whole bunch of Sony fanboys got up in their feelings because I posted that joke tweet about the PlayStation 4 save file transfer process.
About having to move your house three.
You have to rotate your house to face the fifth moon of Venus, and then you have to go to Jimmy's Milk Bar on a Saturday morning, grab a Kit Kat. You download the file, easy peasy. Like,
no worries.
It's so simple. And then there's all these people that got so upset. It's like, it's not that complicated and it's so easy to do. And then all of a sudden I see an article from Paul Tassi that was like, my Ghost of Tsushima save file's just gone and I don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's just disappeared.
And I'm just like, and then I had someone randomly reach out to me in Twitter DMs saying, hey, Nick, can you mention this on Twitter and boost it because there's all these problems with my Ghost of Tsushima save file. I've lost everything. And I'm just like, see, everyone was trying to give me crap saying that it's not that cool. It's like,
I saw that
guys, like, everyone's like, oh, it's simple. It's the push of a button. Yes, for the people that is that simple and it's the push of a button, it's because they've already done the legwork to get it to that point. So people forget, right? First, you have to have had the game on PlayStation 4. Then you have to make sure that you're paying for Plus. then you have to make sure that your PlayStation 4 was your home console, because a lot of people console share. I do with my Xbox, I do with my Switch, I do with my PS5 and my PS4 before it. And then a lot of people don't know. I didn't know until only a couple of years ago that if your PS4 is not your home console, it doesn't automatically upload your cloud saves.
Yeah, you've got to manually.
Luckily, they fixed that with the PS5, but with the PS4, it wasn't the case. So if your PS4 wasn't your home console, guess what? You don't have your Ghost of Tsushima save file. Like, it's not that simple. Like, even, and I've read that tweet. It's really not that basic. And either way, there shouldn't be any work involved.
No.
Like, it should just work. Like, you're talking about...
he could go on, ladies and gentlemen. He could go
everyone
on.
Thinks I just bag Xbox or just bag... It's like, man, I bag them all. I just call out whoever needs to be called out. It's not about picking a side or whatever. Like, if something is garbage, then it's garbage, regardless of who does it.
Yeah.
I mean...
We've got Jeff Grubb demanding that we get to the Halo news. I'm going to make him wait. Jeff!
Get to the Halo news.
Although I have to admit, Somnia's preview is pretty accurate, but he might be surprised. So we'll see. We'll get to it. Let's talk about quickly.
I'm still waiting for my invite. I'm still waiting for my invite to Jeff's podcast.
Yeah, like when are you appearing on the Giant Bombcast?
Where is that? I don't know. Where is that? Or on or on what's it called? On Grub Snacks. Can't I be a guest on Grub Snacks? Surely
that can happen. You've got to pimp yourself out a bit. So in other news this week, obviously QuakeCon happened and Quake has returned.
Yeah, Quake is back.
Quake is back.
Just not the way I had said it might be back.
Well, it's interesting because it's kind of like a double whammy. Obviously, we had your previous rumor mill where you'd heard Quake was coming back in some form. You'd heard that there was a female protagonist, if memory serves. Yep. Now, that's not specifically what we saw. What we did see was a new version of the original Quake 2, Quake 3.
Remaster.
What was doubly interesting, though, was that Jesse, our reviews editor on XboxEra, he was cruising through the webpage and actually caught a accidentally uploaded version, and we kind of ruined the surprise. Sorry, Bethesda, because we managed to get a screenshot.
We talked about it last week because I had Jesse and
of course you did. Abe on. So that was really amusing because it was like a double whammy of us ruining everybody's surprises. Sorry.
We also know one of the lead developers of that Quake port. It was MVG.
I saw that he'd been working on it, and do you know what's funny? I realised after we did our podcast with him that he's been working on the Blade Runner remaster, and I really want to bug him about like how that's going because I'm desperate to play it.
So ask him.
I'm going to.
So ask him. Just DM him. He's in the Discord. And you want to hear something funny? I wonder if I should say this. So he DM'd me. Like, I congratulated him in the Discord when he tweeted that he was developing Quake. So I said congratulations. I tagged him in the Discord, not in DM. I tagged him in the Discord, and then he sent me a DM. And he said, "Oh, thanks." He goes, "By the way," "Where did you hear that rumor about Quake?" He goes, "Where did you hear that rumor about the Quake reboot with a female protagonist?" I said, "Oh, look, I explained without giving away who my source was." I said, I just explained where I heard that." And he's like, "Man, I don't know. I reckon you've been had."
Ooh.
And so I went back. I actually went back to my source. I said, "Look, is this what it is? Like, are you sure there wasn't a mix-up and it was the Quake Remaster?" They're not backing down.
Wow.
They're not backing down from the whole Quake reboot, whatever it is. Because remember, when we said that rumor mill, we didn't say it was going to be announced at Gamescom. We speculated that we think, hey, Gamescom would be the time to announce it. Oh, sorry, Gamescom.
I know Gamescom hasn't happened yet. That's next week.
Yeah, I know. I got my cons mixed up. We speculated that QuakeCon would be the time to announce it, but we never. I didn't say in my rumor mill it's being announced at QuakeCon. I just had heard that there was a Quake reboot happening, and they were probably going to have a female pro tag.
You're very careful with your words, mostly.
What?
I said you're very careful with your words. I was complimenting you on being a wordsmith of great prose.
I do try to be. And I went back to them on the day the Quake Remaster was announced. I was like, is this what it is? Like, are you sure that wasn't some kind of mix-up or something like that? And look, I could say why I still believe my source and why they would know what they know, but I can't say it without giving away who and what they are. So,
yeah.
And I did mention that to MVG, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to walk it back and say, oh, no, it was the remaster I was referring to. I wasn't. It was a Quake, I think it's supposed to be like a Doom 2016 type reboot thing.
Be interesting.
They're not backing down.
They're not backing down.
So
there you go. I saw Trav in the chat. Yes, they are remastering or revitalizing, whatever new word we're using for the old Westwood Blade Runner game. I am insanely hyped for it. I cannot wait to play it. I've played the original via DOSBox. I'm gonna just see how he's getting on with it because that's
DM him.
That's a game for me. Yeah, I'm gonna. What else? What other old things are new again? Oh yeah, Skyrim. Never heard of it before, but apparently
the
it's really
104th time.
Yeah, I can't believe that. It's just, does it ever end for Skyrim?
It just keeps going.
And the same people are like, yeah, all right. And then the meme of the cart ride will continue.
Sure, I'll buy it. You know what? I've never played Skyrim.
I've played it. I got bored. It's not my kind of game.
I've never played it. It's one of those big name games that I've never played.
There you go. Now's your chance. Play it like it's new again. They've got fishing.
No, I don't think I will do that.
But I tell you what, I don't know if everyone read this, but there was I think it was a Twitter thread from one of the developers who worked on Skyrim talking about that initial cart ride intro that's often memed to death.
Yeah.
And about how the cart was a physically... it had physics, the actual cart as it rumbled down the road. So when they were testing it, they came across one bug where it would suddenly just and fly off into the sky. And when they figured out what it was, they'd programmed bees in the game. And what had happened was bees were doing something that was causing a bug. And when they fixed it, they made bees have this wall around them. So basically all that was happening, and it took them ages to track it down, was this bee was flying in front of the cart during the cutscene, and it just hit this immovable bee and just flew off into space. And that is why video game development is really hard.
I love stuff like that.
It's great.
I used to watch FIFA glitch videos constantly because they are so hilarious to me. Like, I would have a sore abdomen, sore cheeks just from laughing so much at FIFA glitch videos. Like, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Jamie Lua, two random monetary super chats. No comment, no question, no nothing. Just a couple of £5.
Well, Jamie Lua, he's a lovely chap. But Jamie, if you're having issues with the system, just type it in the chat. And you'll get it.
I don't know if they're supposed to be just the random £5 donations.
$5 each, mate. Get ourselves a couple of pints, bag of crisps.
Yeah. Well, in Australia that becomes $10.
Well, that's one pint, half pint for you.
That's a Macca's meal.
There you go. Some breakfast.
That's a Mac. Well, yeah. I mean, my breakfast meal at Macca's yesterday was like $10.95. So yeah, that's my breakfast paid for. Great.
There you go. So Quake is back. Skyrim is again back. And again, another game that we saw last year. Everyone really liked the look of from the Steam World developers.
Yeah, Thunderful I think is the
publisher. Yeah.
Or are they the developer? I don't even know.
But the Gunk. They replied to Blackheart Vinyl, who is a member on both XboxEra and I think on our forums.
Yeah, he's on our forum.
They replied to him and said, "Oh yeah, you'll hear from us soon." So my fingers and toes are very truly crossed for Gamescom.
Jesse and I and Abe mentioned it last week. Like, we were talking about Gamescom predictions and what we think we'll see, and we're like, surely we need to see the Gunk there. Like, they're still calling it a second half 2021 game.
Yeah.
Surely we have to see it at Gamescom. And then sure enough, a few days later, they mentioned that they're still working on it, it's odd that, like, we saw it a year ago and then radio silence basically since. And then, but still on track for second half 2021.
So many
which is
good games lately. It's just
the Gunk.
The Gunk looks great.
Yeah, it does. It looks really, really good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Jamie just popped up in the chat. He said, "Just a £10 tip, mate. No message needed."
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought so.
Thank you very much,
that's
sir.
what it was.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, all right, everyone buckled in. Everyone strapped in tight because we got through. We got through the week's news.
Hey, when I heard it was just me and you, I'm like, he's going to take me on his own. Wow.
Yeah, I tried that in SWAT. All right, let's get it out of the way.
Speaking of taking me on your own, hopefully everyone who watches this podcast regularly will remember 2 weeks ago that Abe and John, got a bit all up in their feelings about me talking about how great I am at SWAT.
He's pretty good at SWAT,
and they both wanted to take me on. They were like, "We've got to take him down a peg. We've got to take him down." And I warned them in advance, as I do.
He did.
I don't brag about video games unless I know I can back it up, which is why I don't really brag about too many video games, because I'm not great at most of them. But there are 4 games that I'm real good at. That is Killer Instinct, Titanfall, Rocket League, and Halo SWAT. Doesn't matter which Halo. Oh, except 2 and 3, they suck. But Halo 4, Reach, 5, if it's SWAT, just bring it.
Come on, just get it over
SWAT,
with.
bring it.
Just get it over with.
So I can't even remember what time it was. I think it was late at night here and early in the morning for you. It was I think 9 p.m. or something at night, my time, or something like that. And all of a sudden I've got this DM from John. He's like, "Mate, you up?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's do it. SWAT 1v1. I'm like, you sure you want to do that? He's like, "Yep, let's do it." So we jump on. And I'm pretty sure we would have been playing on a server closer to you, mind you, because you were hosting, which means it would have been on probably a UK server, which means I was probably dealing with God knows how much lag. But of course, 1v1, you're probably not going to get to a 25 kill limit, are you?
I think we get the highest we got to was 10 or 11, and it was on your side.
Yeah, so the first match, I think I won 11-5.
Yeah.
And we ran out of time. Second match, I will say, was far, far closer. It was there was 10 seconds left in the match, and we were 7-all.
You got a run of I don't know. I think you got a run at the end when it was 7-all. You got a run of 2 or 3 kills in a row.
You were in front by 3 or 4 kills, and I thought, oh God, we're going to have to go to a third match. I thought, I'm not going to be able to win this. And then all of a sudden, I just went pop, 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 7-all. And then with 3 seconds left, I just saw your head just lightly bobbing in the distance, going for a sprint, and I just bang. And then time ran out, and I won 8-7.
There you go. So, in my defense, ladies and gentlemen, Nick's ego was covering half my screen. So, I couldn't quite see anything,
Right.
We'll try another 1v1 with standard Halo rules, and we'll see who comes out on top.
But I don't claim to be good at standard Halo.
I don't care. I need to feel better, damn it.
I don't I'm not good at standard Halo, especially as an Australian with all that extra lag. That's why I love SWAT, because it cancels out the lag.
It's just about who sees who first.
That's right. If I see you first and I shoot first, you're dead.
Yep.
So Abe, if you're watching,
it's your turn.
You want to be silly enough to take me on as well, buddy?
I think you should do it.
I think John was legitimately surprised.
He was good at SWAT. I'm not going to deny it. It was fair and square fight. Arguably a little bit more in my favour. And the first match was a bit of an arse kicking for me. Second match was a little bit more competitive. The second one was very close. Yeah, but
the second one was very close.
There you go. I'm going to corroborate the claim. He's pretty good at SWAT. There you go.
I am the king of SWAT. That's all I play.
Yeah, I am tempted to take on Proven as well, but one day. Anyway, so yes, Halo. If you've been living under a rock, or you don't care about Halo, or you don't care about video games, you may not be aware that yesterday, 343 dropped unceremoniously on the end of a Friday in my time zone, and kind of mid-morning for them, a little video. It's about 20 minutes long. It had some feedback from the live producer, Sam, can't remember his surname, Hanshaw, I think, and John Unishek, who's one of the community outreach leads, talking about some of the lessons learned. All good. They teased a new PvP flight and a BTB flight, I think. All very great stuff. Can't wait to try that out. And then we switched gears and we got to join Sketch, aka Brian Gerard, and Joe Staten himself, chatting and memeing each other about the progress that they're making with Halo Infinite on the road to launch. And this was where the bombshells were dropped. So we've got no Forge, which I'm gutted about, for 6 months, I think. 6 months after launch is the target.
Well, did you see the Reddit post? might be a lot longer than that.
I saw the Reddit post. So we've got Forge 6 months delay. We've got PC split screen. No date given, but it's something they're looking to do, but it will not be at launch. And I think arguably the one that has probably caused the most... I use this word gently, but I think genuinely, I think it's applicable. Hurt in the general Halo community is the lack of campaign co-op at launch. Now, if you've watched this podcast before, you might think that Nick will go on a rant of sorts where he'll say hot take type things, and I will be the voice of calm and reason. But I mean, from my perspective, I'm bummed about Forge. If anyone knows me, Nick, I think after the SWAT matches, I showed you a couple of the maps I'd made in Halo 5, and you were like, oh. I love Forge. It's a weird addiction for me. I'm of two feelings about it. I want the tool to be the best it can be, so I'm not too upset about the delay. But one of my biggest concerns was when Halo 5 launched and it launched without Forge. I think a number of people fell off because a lot of the crazy customs didn't come with it. I think, when we were talking about how's it going to launch, I said how important it was for all of it to arrive together. They even said themselves that it's a core component up there with campaign co-op of Halo, and it hurts to not launch it. But it's got to be launched right. So I get it from a developer point of view, but as just a fan, if I take out all of the understanding and development making games is hard, if I take all of that away, it sucks. But I think personally, as much as that sucks and as much as I love Forge, the campaign co-op thing for me is more deep. It hurts more. Literally that 2 days prior, my mate was still here. I'd come back from holiday. We were talking about Halo Infinite. When it comes out, whose house are we doing the LAN at? We'll play through the campaign. And he was like, XboxEra, aren't you going to get review copies? I said, I'm not reviewing it. I'm not going to do the review. It's going to be one of the other guys. So, I'll save the campaign. We'll do it together.
I thought you were doing it.
No, I'm not going to review the campaign. God, no. I'll leave that to someone else. But yeah, it was like... And now, having had that conversation about how excited we were to step onto the Halo ring and do a legendary co-op run, it's 20-year anniversary. It has been a stable part of the series since Halo CE. The fact that it's not there, and I get it, right? It's one of those things. It doesn't prevent the game from being played. It doesn't prevent the game from being great. But as I'm sure many Halo fans watching and everyone else out there, co-op isn't just a feature. It's the way many Halo fans on launch night would play. 100%. The solo run, legendary run, is for like 2 weeks down the line when the LAN and the multiplayer is, we've kind of got over the buzz of it. That's when I go in and re-experience it on my own. Like that's the bit I'm really gutted about. Really, really gutted about. It hurts, man. It hurts. I'm sad. But yeah, anyway, that's my rant. I'll pause.
No, that's fine. Like, it's all valid stuff. Like, it's not about dooming. It's not about crapping on anyone. It's just, I don't know. It's just, Somnia's just see Sonia's super chat. Hold on to your butts.
Now is the time.
Where's Jamie's other one? Nick is overrated on Rocket League, to be honest.
Yeah.
Winky face. Yeah, right. Me overrated in Rocket League, sure. It's just, I don't know. Like, there was a tweet from someone we know who has since deleted the tweet from another developer I don't want to name them and
Yep.
reboost it and get them in trouble, but even they were like, what's 343 been doing all these years? Like, I don't know. I just feel like at what point does the benefit of the doubt run out? Like, we saw how it was last year, and at the time, I was pretty much the only person that said delay it for a full year. Yep. And everyone's like, that's a bit extreme. Doesn't need a full year. It only needs 3 months. It only needs 6 months. And I'm like, nah, man, just give it the year to make sure 100% it's all right and ready to go. Give it a year. And then they delayed it a year. I'm like, good. They're making the right decisions. Good on them. Delay it a year.
Yeah.
They've delayed it a year and, like, it's still going to be missing stuff. Like, and I mean, the Forge stuff we should have seen coming. Let's be brutally honest here. The Forge stuff, we haven't heard anything from Forge publicly. Like, we've heard nothing from Forge. Like,
well,
zero.
We've heard one thing is that I think
what
undo and redo. Yeah, if you're not into Forge, you probably won't give it a crap, right? And that probably would have got it straight over your head. The only thing we've heard publicly on Forge is it will have undo and redo. So if you delete something by accident, you can undo your delete and so on. That's, I think, the only thing that is out there in the open. I do know that there are a couple of screenshots that I think people found their way in the last flight, but I don't think they went particularly far and wide, and arguably they didn't really show much. But yeah, I think Forge is in a tricky position because if I think of Halo 3 and Halo Reach, and even Halo 5, there's lots of assets and bits and pieces that are across campaign and multiplayer that get yanked out as assets and turned into little objects that us forgers can play around with and then go into the editor. And I guess if they've got all of these different things coming in hot at different times, they kind of have to wait for all of that before they can do their bit. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I have no idea. But there's a part of me that thinks that is probably one of the main reasons. But man, yeah, it sucks because not only that,
it does
all of the cool custom stuff, like, you know, Sumo Mongoose, where you bang the mongoose, all of the scripting and things that we could do in 5 to make unique stuff. Like, you think about the pirate ship map I walked you around on with the cannon that you can shoot to take out the power. Like, none of that can exist until Forge exists. So for whatever period of time the game comes out, there are no unique remakes of legacy classic maps. There are no crazy custom games that aren't on existing maps. You know, like it is what it is for 6 months minimum. And it's like, I get it. I get how much of a minimum it is.
And it's just, but the thing is, it was only a couple of years ago that Bonnie Ross was out there saying, nah, Forge is super important. It's going to be there at launch. And like, then we hear nothing. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like, you know, in the Discord, I saw people be like, oh, co-op, big deal. Who plays co-op? And it's like, are you serious? Like, are you going to be that disingenuous about it? Like, Forge doesn't affect me. I've never touched Forge. I'm not interested in Forge. I don't care about Forge. But that doesn't just mean that I should just dismiss people that care and want to complain about the fact that Forge isn't there. Like, have some empathy. It goes back to the 4K dashboard thing. It goes back, like, it's not outrageous for someone who forges, and Forge has been there in every other Halo that had Forge at launch except 5, to want Forge at launch when Infinite launches, especially when they said it would be there.
Yeah.
Like, don't sit there and like dismiss people for having completely reasonable expectations, especially when the developer themselves said it was going to be there. Like, it just, that's the part that gets me more than anything. The way people just be like, or whatever, get over it, blah, 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 blah. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, at some point, the excuses need to run out, don't they? Like, at some point, the excuses need to run out. Like, did you read that Reddit post? Did you read that?
There's the one from the supposed 343 developer.
343 employee, which all sounds, like, none of it sounds outrageous. None of it sounds crazy. None of it sounds weird. And I was reading that post, and he was talking about, you know, and it made sense. It's like, you know, they're struggling to work out co-op in campaign because it's an open world and people can go and do their own thing. And, you know, we tinkered with having the Halo CE checkpoint system where people are tethered together, but that's boring. And I'm like, hold on. Okay, it's an open world and people can go do their own thing. But if what's holding it back is the technical capabilities of people going off in 4 different directions to do their own thing, why are they playing co-op? Just tether everyone together. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But for all the complaints Halo has had over the years, not once have I heard anyone complain with the campaign checkpoint system in co-op. No one's ever complained about that. And Halo CE was a borderline open world. I know it wasn't full open world, but it wasn't far off it either. And it just tethered you together. And no one ever complained about it because you're playing co-op. You're there to play together. If you want to go do your own thing and complete missions then play solo.
Yeah.
Like, if that's
the
reason we're losing co-op, that's not a good enough reason to lose co-op.
Well, that
just tether everyone together.
That assumes then, you know, because if now you've made that point, that makes me question the validity of the post, right? Because
maybe, yeah,
you know, it kind of comes across as a no-brainer, or, you know, and again, we're not developers, all right? We're spitballing like the rest of the community out there. Part of me thinks, okay, you start walking X certain distance away from the host, and you start getting, you know, like if you go out of a map bounds, you get the fuzz, or you get 10, 9, 8,
the
7.
warning.
Yeah, it just says you're leaving your squad behind. Go back, and that's it. Like
that's it.
And it's not even a tethering. That's just like, yeah, don't wander off too far, right? Because, you know, we can't have you triggering a mission here. It is kind of a tether. Yeah, it's a light, like, because what was the other thing I can't remember if this was in the post, but the other thing that they said, they were talking about like respawn points, like you'd have in Apex, where you go to the place and I wouldn't want that in Halo. So I'm glad that if that is true, that's not happening. But I think fundamentally though, when I saw the news break, the Forge delay kind of got an eyebrow raise of, okay, you know, that is what it is. I understand. But the co-op one, I think, is definitely, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's going to cause a lot of outcry. Because if it was just like, this is whatever, but it's the 20-year anniversary. When I played Halo CE, I was 16. I co-opted it with my
I was 21.
Right? This is the thing. I was 16 years old, and it blew my tiny mind. I might have been 17. When I played Halo 4, you know, I was still not even 20, and maybe I was.
Yes,
I must have just been 20.
Halo 4 or Halo 2?
Halo 2, sorry. I'm getting my 2s and my 4s mixed
Halo
up.
4.
Halo 4, I was definitely way past 20. But, you know, like all of those moments, every single launch night, every single one, 2 TVs, system link for Halo 1 and 2. Halo 3, 4 people, co-op the whole night. Halo 4, 4 people, co-op the whole night. Halo, same. And that's the 20-year legacy they're dealing with. So it feels painful to hear, hey, celebrate 20 years of Halo, but not the way you've been playing it for the last 20 years. You'll have to wait. That hurts. And that's why I think we're seeing such an outcry from everybody. I think it just plain up sucks. And I'm always like getting broken up with kind of, you know, like where you're getting dumped and you're really like, I don't want to be dumped. You start bargaining. Yeah, I'm like, can't you pay more people to just get it in there in time? Like, you've got 23 studios, man.
I know. It's funny you say that though. And that's the other problem. Like, it's a multi-layered thing. Like, you're talking about a game that's probably cost more than any other game to develop. Aren't the rumored numbers being thrown around in like the hundreds of millions of dollars sort of area? Rumored, I say, I don't know. Like, it's got so many developers being thrown at it, so much money being thrown at it, so much time. And, you know, everyone wants to sit there and talk about COVID. Look, okay, can we like stop with that now? Like, this game was planned to release in 2020. Right? That was when it was planned to release, November 2020. COVID started March 2020, which is like what, 9 months before it goes gold? 7 months, 8 months before it goes gold. Not before it releases, but before it goes gold. So you'd think that 7 months before the game is due to come out, a fair bit of the work would be done. No? A fair bit.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but a fair bit of work would be done. And that's fine. COVID hit and it affected things, but then they got an extra year. And then we're still losing all this stuff. And people want to keep using that as an excuse. But now I'm going to say something that I brought up, I think, with someone in a Discord DM or chatting with someone. And you have to question some of the decisions that get made higher up. Like, you know, COVID hits a year and a half ago. And Xbox has an advantage. They have an ace up their sleeve when it comes to working from home, an ace that no other publisher has, right?
You're talking about Azure and being able to remote distribute. No? Okay.
Nope. Not even talking about Azure. Microsoft has an ace up their sleeve that no other publisher has when it comes to working from home. And they never even used it, at least not that we know of. There's a developer who we know very well. The head of this developer has been on our podcast twice. And his studio was built for working from home. They were already ready for COVID before COVID started.
You're talking about Moon Studios, Thomas Marlowe.
Correct. Now, what other major publisher has the relationship with Moon Studios that Microsoft has? You'd think there'd be someone high up in Microsoft that would think, hey, anyone got Thomas Marlowe's phone number? Maybe give him a ring and ask him for some hints and tips on working from home. Maybe we could even license some of their IP and we could get them in to help set up our infrastructure for working from home. Like, you have this resource, guys. Use it. Pick up the phone and give them a call and be like, hey, guys, help us set up so we can be ahead of the curve on this, so we don't have to experience massive delays and we don't have to have all these problems working from home. Like, how did no one think of this? Like, these are all highly paid people that are I don't know, man. Stuff like this just staggers me. Yeah. It staggers me.
I think there's a number of topics that we should probably talk through, right? Because I want to reflect what a lot of the community has said, what I've seen on Twitter, etc., etc. The first one, let's talk about COVID, right? I get the point you're making, right? Because it's March, COVID hits, they show off the game. At that point, when they show off the game, it's meant to be coming for launch. It then doesn't. But if you, and I'm not making excuses, right? I just want to try and speak plainly. But if you actually look back around some of the interviews Phil was doing between March, COVID hitting, and the show, he said things like, "There's no single." I think it was with an IGN McCaffrey review. There's no single game that has to be, you know, like if Halo's delayed, you know, they were already talking about, oh, if something happens, you know, we won't stop launching the console. They'd already laid the seeds, right? Yeah. And I would say to you that they probably knew back in March. Yeah.
Even before COVID, they probably thought it was going to be delayed. Even before COVID. Like I said, I got that DM. Remember that DM I showed you? That DM was April.
Yeah.
That said Halo's going to get delayed. That's only a month after COVID. So they probably already knew Halo was going to be delayed before COVID even hit.
So there's one aspect there, right? And the other is, you know, I know you said, like, you know, I think I'm paraphrasing you, so you can correct me if you feel I'm misquoting you, but that COVID isn't a thing anymore. I get your perspective, but at the same time, Washington State in the US in particular was super strict with the lockdowns, and Microsoft as a company of their size were also super strict and had to pivot to be a company of, what are they, 10,000 employees plus, to allowing everybody to remote work. A huge infrastructure change that, and particularly as game development is so collaborative, it isn't easy. And I get, you know, yeah, Thomas Marlowe and team, but they're a team of, like, I don't know, what, 40, 50 people. It's a bit different.
Yeah, I know.
And I think the other big thing that impacts Microsoft in this regard is their use of temp workers. I know there's a lot of judgment around this. You know, why don't they hire them full time? Why don't they do this? There's lots of things to do with tenure law when it comes to contingent workers. it's complicated. It's more a US law thing than a Microsoft are choosing to do it this way thing. But I certainly think I still feel that COVID was a massive excuse. The reality is, I think, is that probably December 2019 they knew that they weren't going to be making November 2020. I think that's the real truth, and we'll probably look to some point to hear from someone like Schreier, who will probably take far too much pleasure in reporting on it, about the inside story. We obviously had all the drama with Chris Lee suddenly being pulled out. We had the Joe Staten coming in to right the ship. And outside of the COVID stuff, the other thing I think I've seen the community regularly talk about, I think, Nick, you would probably agree, you've said this, I think multiple people have said it, is, how many chances do 343 get, right? Because there's been a hiccup since they've taken over the franchise, more or less with every game. Halo 4 launched perfectly, but the problem was the multiplayer was just straight up not horrible. What people wanted from a Halo game. Halo 5 was fine technically. Problem was a terrible story, but the multiplayer was great, and the Forge didn't come at launch.
No Forge.
No split MCC. Screen. Enough
no
said.
No split screen in Halo 5 either.
No split screen. So there are all these different bits, and it has people saying now 6 years without a new Halo title, and I get it. I empathise with those that feel this way. And then there's a difference between saying, I think they should, if I see someone type fire everyone and give it to a different studio, I kind of dismiss that, because that's never in a reality of world's going to happen. And B, I think it does a disservice to a lot of the people that love Halo and have joined 343 to work on it and are doing their best in an arguably very difficult situation. But if I see people say things like, I think questions have to be asked about how the games are managed from the top down. I can't, as a person that loves Halo, I can understand where that message is coming from, because from a low level, I've had the pleasure to do some of the launch events for MCC. I've worked with the sustain team for Halo 5 on getting some of my creations into the game. Every single person I've ever interacted with at 343 has been awesome. Like, really loves Halo, super passionate, can't fault them, end of story. But I get the sentiment from outside of that, that says, why does this keep happening? Why has it had a troubled development? Does something need to be done? I can't disagree with it. I'm not certainly going to call for anyone's job, right? It's not my place to, and I don't think that should happen. But I certainly get why those questions are being asked. Whether we'll get a full story at some point, I'd be intrigued to understand it, because it must have been hard. And it still must be hard.
I think Mr. Schreier's looking into it.
I'm sure he is.
You'll see. No. I think he has said it. He's looking into it, and I think he's probably talking to a lot of current low-level 343 devs and probably some ex-343 devs. I wouldn't be surprised if he's building up a story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got to be careful about what I say. People keep getting replaced, people keep leaving, people keep changing, people keep getting demoted, yet things don't seem to change. So where does the problem lie? There are certain constants there that don't change, and then other things don't change. So you just wonder if the right decisions are being made at any point. I don't know. And it's funny. I saw someone in the chat. Oh, that's your answer, Moon Studios. It's no, that's not my answer. What I'm saying is, why didn't someone I know Moon is small, and I know Ori took 5 years, but Ori didn't take 5 years because of COVID. When we had Thomas Mahler on, he said that they've got a special infrastructure set up for remote working from home and this, that, the other. That. My point was, it's funny. When people get defensive, they miss the point of what you're trying to say. Stop getting so defensive. Stop defending companies that don't care what you think. Just stop making excuses. My point was that they had a resource at their disposal that they don't appear to have used. it wouldn't have been hard to just call up Moon and say, hey, how is it that you guys set up from home? You've been like this for years now. How are you guys set up? Can we have a look? Can you show us this? That's all I was saying. Like, rather than just continue to say, everyone's working from home. It's not just 343.
Yeah.
Everyone is. Everyone's
you're talking
acting
about
like 343 is the
tips.
only studio in the world that's working from home. Nah, man, they all are.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like, is there a studio that has more excuses made for them than 343 out there? Like, I can't think of one. Actually, sorry, someone in the Discord brought up one, Game Freak, the guys that do Pokemon. That's probably a good point. But like,
I would argue, though, on that front, man, is there a studio out there that gets more scrutiny and...
probably not. Oh, no, there'd be a few.
I don't know, man. Like,
343 is up there. 343 is definitely up there. But we have said on this podcast, that's a bet of their own making. Don't forget. That is a bet of their own making.
Due to prior mishaps and errors. Yeah, like, I get it.
Like, at some point, there needs to be questions asked. Like, 343, like, anyone who watches this podcast will know, if there's something good, I'll point it out. And I got crap for saying that 343 make Halo games feel better than Bungie did. So even when I say something good about 343, I cop crap. Like, 343's Halo games feel better than Bungie's to play. They just do, whether people like it or not. 343, that multiplayer team, promote them. Give them a raise. They are clearly geniuses. The 343 multiplayer team has had 3 cracks at Halo multiplayer. All 3 are completely different, yet at least 2 of the 3 are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, how is it possible that they can completely change the multiplayer 3 times and still have it be great twice? Like, these guys clearly know what they're doing, which leads me to my next point. I'm going to reiterate, release the multiplayer separately. Like, nah, seriously, I was having an argument about this in the Discord and it was pissing me off. In the end, people are like, you can't release it separately. You can't. You just can't. It's Halo. You can't. That is such old thinking. And the irony of Xbox fans, of all people, saying you can't release Halo separately. You all claim to be forward thinkers because Game Pass is amazing and you love Game Pass. Look at the Sony fanboys that can't deal with Game Pass. But then you can't have Halo be separated? Why? No one's paying for the multiplayer. So what difference does it make if the multiplayer is released separately? What difference does it make?
It's the same difference as to why so many people are upset about co-op campaign. Because what difference does it make? I'm getting the campaign and the multiplayer at the same time, right? It makes a difference to me emotionally because of my history and my relationship with the franchise over 20 years. Right? It's just how it is. I can't explain it because it's a feeling. It's not something that's quantitative and I can write it down on paper and say, here's the formula that shows why that can't happen. It's just, you're talking then about arguably cutting more. And, I've seen the hashtag delay Halo Infinite, right? I've seen it. I get it.
They delay the campaign, not the multiplayer. The multiplayer's ready to go. Release the multiplayer. Like, this is me caring about Halo, probably more than most. But no, seriously, this is me caring about Halo. So right now, there's only one thing that we know for certain about Halo Infinite. Just one thing, that the multiplayer is amazing. That's the only thing that we know about Halo Infinite. The multiplayer is amazing. So you only get one chance to make a first impression, yes? Since we know the multiplayer is amazing, everyone's clamoring for more of it. I see it all over Twitter. I see it all over forums. Man, I want to play another tech test, blah, blah. Release the multiplayer first. Get it out there because let's be real. The multiplayer is what's going to give the game its legs for the next 10 years. That's what people are going to be playing, the multiplayer. And then Forge will feed that as well. Release the multiplayer first because we already know it's great. So you're already giving people a good first impression of Halo. Because here's the thing, right? When you tie the multiplayer, which is free to play anyway, like people can download the multiplayer without paying for the campaign. So releasing together is nothing but token pandering, right? So release the multiplayer first. get that good impression out there, get people excited, get people loving Halo because it's great. The multiplayer is great. That way, if the campaign is a disaster, if it is, that blow will be softened because you've already had 2, 3, 4 months of everyone loving the multiplayer. If you tie that multiplayer to a disaster campaign and they release together, it's going to hurt the multiplayer. Mark my words, it's going to hurt the multiplayer. Just get the multiplayer out there first, have people love it, and then release the campaign. I'm telling you.
I'm not with you on this one, bro. I'm not with you on this one. I
just find it ironic.
They aren't interchangeable to me.
Nah.
Like I said, man, it's an emotional thing, right? Like
it's 2021, man.
The campaign.
We need to move on.
You're assuming the campaign is a disaster, right? That's an assumption.
I said if. I know, but it's a disaster.
But they are confident in the campaign. That's why they're releasing it, despite not having campaign co-op and despite not having Forge. And also
they've
probably
been confident
because
in a lot of things.
Also probably because the money men said you have to release this year or else, right? They've probably got 1,000,001 marketing things lined up and everything else, and the game has to ship. It's just the way it is. This is a business,
obviously.
And I think that's the other thing that as a big boy, as a grown up, I have to try and take on board is that at the end of the day, despite my love for the series, that has been a distinct part of my youth and growing up, it is just a game. It will be fine in the end because these things nowadays just always evolve and change, and this is meant to be a live service. And I've heard people saying, oh, they're cutting content to make up for the fact that it's a live service. No, it's just they're running out of time and they have to get what they've got out of the door. But yeah,
I'm seeing the comments now, and I find it incredibly ironic. Like, these are people that give Sony fans crap because Sony fans struggle to grasp Game Pass as a concept, and they have a cry, oh, Sony will never do Game Pass. And yet these same people still have old thinking about Halo. And like, I'm the old guy, and I'm saying separate Halo. And I'm the old guy. I should be tied down by nostalgia more than any of you. And yet I'm not. It's 2021, man. Can we move on from the old way of doing things for 15 minutes? Like, just, and this is for the betterment of Halo, because we don't know what the campaign is. I mean, again, we're going back to making excuses. Like, we saw nothing of Forge, and now Forge isn't going to be there. Have we seen anything of campaign for over a year?
Nope.
We saw a cutscene. That's all we saw. We've seen nothing of the campaign for over a year. A campaign that was allegedly ready to go last July, and we've now seen nothing of it for a year. Not the best sign. Not the best sign. Again, not a guarantee of anything, but not the greatest sign.
I think we'll see things soon enough. You got to remember, folks, right? It's end of August right now. It ain't coming in September. I think that much is clear, right? Because these
Multiplayer probably could.
Maybe. But these things are going to have a run up in terms of marketing, right? It could come in October. It's probably coming in November. We don't know yet, but really, we're talking 2 or 3 months. And as much as it hurts that we won't be playing together through the campaign story with our friends as we might normally do on launch night, we will have a brand new campaign and a brand new multiplayer and a brand new BTB and whatever else they've got cooking to look forward to within our hands within the next 3-4 months. I mean, that's not long. That's 3 paychecks. That's it's nothing. It'll be there before we know it, and we'll be talking about it and we'll be playing it. And arguably, I feel sorry for them in that come the big show last year, it was such a rough time. It must have hurt as a developer at 343 at the time to be seeing all of that reaction. To come back in January and be like, boom, blogs, updates, getting everyone excited, boom, technical flight, huge positive explosion of just love and emotion. And then to have this dip. But I think if you think about it, right, they have a certain impetus to say, here's what's in our game before you can buy it. They can't say this, they can't open pre-orders tomorrow and then in 4 weeks say, oh, by the way, this isn't coming and this isn't coming. They are lining up this is just my opinion, they are lining up a sequence of events to then be able to say, and this is when we're releasing it, and then that hype cycle will start. And I think, as much as this hurts right now, that we'll start to feel a little bit better and a little bit more confident. And that's just my hope, / desperate belief. I think that's probably going to be where we end up. But yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it's gutting as a fan of playing it in co-op and doing it in that traditional way. And I think that's just it's so antithetical to the 20-year anniversary. It's just, it makes me a bit sad. And I don't think I'm going to be over it for a while. But
it is, and I don't even generally play co-op day one either. Like, I usually go through, or I'm doing both at the same time. I'll start a single run, and a mate of mine who's actually in the chat, I just saw him, will do like a legendary co-op run. Like, we do it for every Halo. M2IJ has a super chat. Can't delay a 10-year game when it has to be on X1. God, don't get me started on Xbox One. Don't get me started. Like, how did they not ditch that console? How did they not ditch that console?
I would bet that's the other rub, right? This isn't just a Halo game on one platform. This is a Halo game on an 8-year-old platform, 2 new modern platforms, and a plethora of very different PC specifications. I bet it's a real bitch to get working how they want it to work. I think
they had a chance. They had a chance to ditch Xbox One. Like,
it will be ditched.
No one's going to be playing it. No one's going to be playing it on Xbox One.
I think that's naive, man. Loads of people will be playing on Xbox One. I'm a member of several Xbox Live and Halo Infinite groups, and I still daily see posts talking about, my 360's doing this. Man, there are people out there. I've just picked up an Xbox One.
It's set up right there. I've got a 360.
There's still people out there that this is their main console. This is just, the world is big. But I think, nutshell, wrapping it all up, it is what it is. Going. It hurts, right? But we're going to be okay. We're all in it together, and it's, we just got to try. And this is the dip. I've got the bad news out of the way. Now it will just be a nice roller coaster of good news, hopefully, until launch. That's.
I'm actually staggered. I'm looking at the chat, and I'm staggered at the number of people that are just continuing to just make excuses. Like, I'm actually shocked.
I don't know. Is it excuses, dude? There are so many games that didn't launch this year, even though they had delays on paper or off paper. I'm not going to sit here and say, you guys need to do this, you guys need to do that. I can spitball and theorize with the rest of us, right? But at the end of the day, I have no idea how difficult or complex it is to make a game of that scale and scope. I don't even fully yet understand the scale and scope because they haven't shown it yet. But I imagine it's pretty vast.
Sure, it's really hard.
But yeah, it's
the one thing I never understood, and maybe you can explain it because you're probably like, and this is probably because I'm not a developer. So developers work on computers, yeah? And dev kits. Like, we're all working from home, yes? We all are.
Yeah.
For the countries that are locking down and behaving properly, yeah, we're all working from home. So my specific job, which I'm obviously not going to say, doesn't change because I'm at home. I'm still doing the same work on the same computer that I would be if I was in the office on that same computer.
Yeah.
Does similar not apply in development? Like, wouldn't they all have their, like, if you're a coder, you're still coding at home, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're I
can speak to a bit of this. I was
a graphic designer. Whether I'm using Photoshop at home or in an office, I'm doing the same thing. If I'm, unless it's a dev kit thing, unless it's I don't know, like.
So yeah, I can probably give the you and the general audience an idea here, and if there are people that are better educated in the chat, feel free to pipe up and let me know. But as I understand it, right, if you think of, let's use your example. I'm a coder, and I make a code change to the current build of Halo Infinite. Mm-hmm. Bees don't send warthogs flying into the air. Right, let's just say that's the thing. I've made that fix. That, if I'm now working from home, I'm not sending that to a server on a massive built-in network LAN infrastructure at a massive development studio where it's collaborative. I have to then upload that. It then has to be distributed. And then everybody else remotely that needs to now run the updated version then has to re-grab a huge file and then input it and let it go. And then you think about the kind of delay, and then you think about how many programmers and coders and things that all have to go through that iterative process. So there probably then has to put measures in place to say, right, all final locked changes in the build by this time, and then we'll deploy it overnight, and then you'll have to have it. Oh, my internet connection went down because I'm at home, or Comcast. I've just. Then you think about how quickly you could mushroom into, the build crashed, or I haven't got this. They probably had to then pull all of the dev kits and studio stuff, and then there's the security around that, because you're no longer in a badged get into the building. You've got to give it to people at home who might have family, who might have friends, and there's NDAs and all of that. It could explode, right? And I'm ad-libbing a little bit here, but I think when you think about it in that context, right? And I think Ubisoft, I don't like to bring them up particularly, but they mentioned about how they had to quickly pivot and use Azure to set sort of that stuff up where they would upload and download builds. And obviously Microsoft did that, right? But it still doesn't change the fact that the director could live out in the sticks with a 2 meg broadband connection because the US infrastructure ain't great. And, crap, what do I do? You know? These are the swings and roundabouts of the reality of, because it's such a collaborative process making games compared to, I work for a SaaS company, right? Software as a service. And I'm not on the software side, but when we were in lockdown, my colleagues in the States were no longer allowed in the office, and my office in London was shut down. I'd hear from developers on that team, and I imagine in some aspects it's not exactly like game development, but suddenly it was slow to a crawl, and I saw the knock-on effect. We had clients waiting for Q2, Q3, Q4 releases of the software. We were like, oh yeah, that feature, way out to Q1 next year now, because, well, guess what? COVID's a bummer, and it makes life really hard. And then I try and picture building a game across a plethora of devices. Tough call. So I think that's
why I asked.
Yeah, there's some
that's
of the
why
reasons.
I sort of. Yeah, I don't know.
We're just all a
lot
bit
of it
sad.
still comes. I know, but a lot of it still comes across as hiding behind that. Like, the game didn't start development in 2020, did it?
No.
It started development well before that, and there were rumored problems well before that. And I think that's where a lot of the people that are a bit more critical are coming from. It's not about dismissing COVID. It's not. I'm not saying COVID's not a thing and it's not impacting anything. Ratchet and Clank got delayed. Returnal, I think, got delayed. Last of Us 2, everyone's getting their games delayed. I'm not saying it's not affecting anything, but there had been lots of rumored problems well before all of that started. Yeah. Well before.
I think as well, probably the challenge of, let's be honest, they were probably still, I know Slipspace is there and it's an engine, but those tools were still coming in hot. Despite it was a new engine, it's still got to build all the tech stack behind it. And if that's getting adjusted on the fly and we're all remote and man, I don't even want to think about what a nightmare that was for some of the folks on any team working remotely. It would stress me out so much. And that's, I feel for them when I see all this uproar, and when I see people being called to be fired, or you guys suck and should just be pulled from the projects that you've been pouring your hearts and souls into for the last 6 years for us, right? I just feel nothing but kind of sadness seeing that kind of rhetoric, because it's so unempathetic. It's just it's almost, apologies, I think it's the first swear on the podcast, but I'm going to say it because I want it to come across in the right way. It's a very fuck you, give me mine attitude. And it's, it's almost entitlement to a degree, It's one of those things. I appreciate that they've been transparent. I appreciate they've been upfront. I wish it wasn't what it is. There is still a part of me that, wants to have that debate. Can't you do this? Can't you just hire the people from this team to come and help? But if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen.
I know, but the thing is, and again, it's I just wish people would stop getting so defensive. They believe that this game was almost ready to go last year in July.
Oh, they got to have known that it was going to be delayed at that point. They just had to show something because it was.
Well, you'd assume, but that's not what they said. And not long after that, Joe Staten goes, "I've played through the campaign." Do you remember that? Like he said publicly, "I've played through the campaign. It's great.
Yeah.
I've played through it." Like, and they got the year delay, which I'm reminding everyone, I'm the only one who called for that 1 year delay. And yet still here we are. Like, part of that 1 year delay was COVID, and everyone was like, "Oh, 1 year's a bit extreme." Like, so which is it, guys? Is it COVID or is it too extreme to delay for a year? Like, there's just no consistency in anyone. Like, you know, a year is a long, long time. And again, they're not the only developer doing it. And I get it. They're also not like, I mean, God of War was never realistically 2021, but like Horizon, well, I told you all, I got told God of War from the start was 2022. That's how it was first brought to me. Like, someone came to me, I think in June last year, and was like, God of War's a 2022 game. So I just assumed it was 2022. But like Horizon Forbidden West got delayed, and that doesn't have multiplayer, that doesn't have Forge, that doesn't have anything. It's just a stock standard third person over the shoulder, you know, blah 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 blah, and that got delayed. But again, it's a big scale budget project, and da 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 da. But at the same time, like, how do I explain it? Again, I'm doing my best to choose my words and not just go off the handle and blah blah blah. But like, Guerrilla doesn't have a history of development problems. Guerrilla doesn't have, like, Horizon Forbidden West hasn't been. I mean, when did Horizon Zero Dawn come out? I can't even remember.
2017, 2018, one of those.
When did that game come out? Horizon, I don't even know. When did it come out? 2017. So so that's 4 years. Again, that's if you want to take the assumption that it started development immediately after Zero Dawn, which I doubt it, because there was DLC for Zero Dawn and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's just not the problem here is, and this is why I still think a lot of the criticism is valid, is because 343 has history that a lot of these other studios don't. Like, that is why. Don't worry about the extreme criticism, like the crazy stuff. I'm talking about the completely constructive and reasonable criticism. 343 has a track record, do they not? Like,
yeah.
So it's not unreasonable to be a bit annoyed at this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
definitely not. 100% agree. It's
because they've got a history. Like, Insomniac doesn't have a history of troubled development with their games that we know of. A lot of stuff comes out many years later. But like,
well, they've got some stuff, other stuff that they've been accused of. That's pretty gross.
Some other stuff. Yeah, but I'm talking about like in development now.
Yeah,
like the reason people are being critical of 343 is because of that history. Yeah. Like, we've seen the leads come and go. We've seen people come and go. So people understandably are a bit worried, like, what the hell is going on? Like, don't just, I don't know, the way it's just any kind of criticism is just being dismissed is kind of annoying to see.
Yeah.
Like, and I say this as someone who is more than likely going to love that campaign regardless of the shape it's in.
Yeah.
Like,
mate, before we started, I was going to have some tags I could hot swap in that changed our name tags up in our boxes here, from Sick and Shpeshal Nick to 343 Apologist and Angry Hot Take, you know, like, just for lulz, because, you know, I think that's probably what people expected. I think, though, our conversation has been a lot more reasonable than perhaps many would have assumed, which is great.
I've done my best to be measured.
It's very good. It's very good. I'm very impressed.
I do have a history of flying off the handle, and I'm doing my best not to.
So let's try and end the Halo bridge in not so many words. The only thing I would probably say to kind of final point on the point you were just making is, I think Halo as an entity is not limited to having problems with just 343. CE was an absolute mess right before launch. If you've never played it on the original Xbox, it played like crap. It was just magical crap. Halo 2, completely scrapped and then remade in a year. And look at the uproar. Do you remember Halo2sucks.com? Like, these things happened and the fan base reacted.
Those guys were ahead of their time.
They were ahead of their time. Halo 3,
Halo 2,
I think, launched and was generally just like, yeah, this is a great game because everything arrived as expected, right?
In good shape.
Same for Reach. But at that point, we knew that suddenly Bungie were leaving, and this is their last game. ODST was meant to be a simple add-on. Bigwigs at Microsoft said, no, we've got nothing else coming out. You will make this a full-priced release, you jerks.
ODST was amazing.
And it was great. But it was smaller in scope, right? And I think that is the problem, because Halo gives all of us that play it, right? And I'm being philosophical here to some degree. Every time I've played Halo, and in any regard, the first time you step on a ring or you go onto a new level, there's something magical about it, and that's probably why it's so loved and adored, and why it gets the amount of passion it gets from the fan base, because it means something to so many people. And I think that is both a blessing and a curse, because you've got plenty of passionate people that love to give you good feedback and help build a game that everyone wants. But then you've also got these zealots that say, and I guarantee you, 10 months from now, it will be about how great and underappreciated Halo 5 was, and how terrible.
Probably.
It
wouldn't surprise me.
It would not surprise me.
I definitely won't change my mind. The only thing I've changed my mind on with Halo 5, and I say change my mind, but really it's not quite right, because at the time, and there's a lot of people that are strangely forgetting this, at the time, I remember Halo 5's visuals being described as very meh. And the excuses around the time were, well, that's the sacrifice for 60. We don't get split screen. It's not going to look as good, blah, 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 because it's 60 frames, yada, yada, yada. But Halo 5 on a Series X is actually a really good looking game. I'm actually shocked at what a good looking game it is on a Series X.
Yeah.
On an Xbox One, clearly not. But man, when you play that game on Series X, it's actually legitimately good looking. It doesn't change how bad the campaign is. It doesn't change the 463 warden fights you have to go through. It doesn't change any of that. But that's the part I have changed my mind on. The visuals on Halo 5. It's actually a pretty damn good looking game. But don't get me wrong. Bungie, you'll find posts of mine on forums, probably in the Discord, where I have I'm not going to use that word, where I have said that I think Halo CE was a fluke from Bungie. I think that was a complete fluke. That was because I think Halo 2 is overrated. Halo 3 is just ODST, the reason I love, and that's why I wish 343 would stop. I wish 343 would just do their own thing. What made Halo 3 ODST so great to me is Bungie weren't pandering to anyone. Yeah, Bungie weren't tethered by expectations. Bungie weren't tethered by the expectations of whiners saying, oh, but Halo has to have this. And Bungie just went, nah, these are ODSTs. It's not Spartans. We're doing our own thing. It's going to be something completely different. And it ended up being amazing. It was so completely different to everything else Halo, and it was more amazing because of it. It's my second favorite Halo game behind CE. But CE was a fluke. CE was a complete fluke, if we're being serious. And look at the PvP in Destiny. It's garbage. It is garbage. If that doesn't show you that, because I have always said that Halo 2 and 3's multiplayer are overrated. Yeah. Completely and utterly overrated. And look at Destiny's multiplayer.
If anything, then the fact that ODST is right up there, this should give you a little bit of confidence in that Joe Staten is leading the creative charge on Infinite, right? And writing that shit.
I said this in the Discord. There's only so much Staten can do now. It's in too deep. The game is too far along. And it's sad because there probably won't be another Halo game for such a long time now. A new one. I understand that Infinite will evolve and they'll add to it and blah, 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 blah. but a new Halo game isn't going to come now for probably the longest time. Who knows if Joe Staten's still going to be around then? So it's just, it's a bit sad to me that Joe has been brought on to clean up a mess as opposed to being brought on at the start to make sure it's great from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like Joe's great, but like he's coming on at the end to salvage it. Like, well, at least that's how it feels. It feels like he's been brought on to fix and salvage rather than being brought on to lead something and start something. That's the part that's just a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
yeah. There we go. There we go, folks. That was us talking about the ups and downs of the roller coaster that is and continues to be Halo Infinite. I think we've covered everything pretty much. I don't think we need to dive into any other topics. The only thing last thing I mentioned, did you see the off-screen footage on the video?
I think so.
There was only a couple of very brief clips of people playing it in the studio. Looked good. So
yeah, I think so. And I saw a screenshot that Tom Warren posted. And in the shot there was 4 screens and that dude was there.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember the character's name.
The Brohammer.
The one from the trailers.
Yeah, Brohammer.
The one from the trailers.
Brohammer.
The guy from the trailers.
Brohammer.
With the beard and
Brohammer.
Whoever he is.
That's his name. I'm making out the name. It's like FauK Hammer, but it's a bro. It's a Brohammer.
Okay.
I think he's called the pilot.
Yeah, and all 4 of them had different views of that. So I don't know if that was them testing co-op.
Maybe.
Because it was the same scene, but from 4 different perspectives. So my guess was that was them
desperately
mucking
trying
around
to
with
test co-op.
the co-op stuff. Like,
I'm still praying. I'm still praying that they've announced the delay and to give the dev teams a breathing room, and then someone's going to be like, see the outcry and be like, I'm going to solo fix this overnight, and suddenly come through on the 11th hour with a fix.
That's the funniest part about all this. I can almost guarantee you, I'm still going to love that campaign. Like I said it back then. Wait. As visually underwhelming as that July reveal was, the actual gameplay, the encounters, that all still looked great. Even back in July.
Jesse's saying that clip was them playing on not co-op, but just testing on different platforms. So One S, One X, right. Series X, all at the same time.
Right.
There you go. Thank you, Jesse. But anyway, so we got Gamescom to come. Let's see what happens. Pro tip, don't expect a Halo trailer at Gamescom. I think they said that in the video, so just reiterating it there. If you missed that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm certainly not expecting any Halo news. I am curious about what we will see next week. And then shortly after Gamescom, we'll have a special guest.
That's still on track?
That's still on track, baby. It's going to be fun.
Oh, good.
That's going to be a really fun episode. Do you think we should make it a live episode?
No, I don't know. Do we really want to take that gamble?
Do we want to take that
Something
gamble?
Something goes wrong with that guest and it's live? I don't know.
It's tempting. Anyways, there you go, folks.
That's playing with fire. That is playing with fire.
Play with fire. So, okay, here we are. We've arrived now. Before I say a big thank you to our patrons, I do get the pleasure. Earlier this week, we were doing a small giveaway. The developers of Rims Racing, a motorbike sim type game. It's not my jam, but it's, if those like it, we ran a little giveaway. I said and announced the winner here live on the podcast. So if they're watching, which I doubt they are, but if they are, I will reach out on Twitter as soon as I've finished this. Ice Cold, aka at Noric1 with 2 I's, so NORIIC1. Congratulations, you've won yourself a full copy of Rims Racing. I will be sliding into your DMs momentarily. But yeah, so all of these sorts of things are all possible because of the support of our lovely patrons. So big thank you and shout out to Crow at 56, Blast the Bass, Nodorius, Notjack, Sowing Shade, The Scarecrow 121, TornRaptor, Crazy Spans, VK Andrew, Brit, Cerys, Duke, Chaos, Notian, Gabquist, Hexa, J Rapper, K, Kiroi Senkai, Cartoon Soldier, Red Sun, Shadowgasm, Somnia, and Running Riot. We love you guys very, very much. So thank you for that. I guess it's on to...
Yeah, community questions.
I wonder if there's going to be any Halo Infinite community questions in this week's community questions.
I just want to say, Philip Boyle, who's in the chat, it's not Paris. The guest is not Paris.
Oh no, it's not Paris.
Don't expect.
He's still not returning our calls.
Don't expect Paris anytime soon.
He's a busy man.
Any guests we have lined up at the moment, Paris isn't one of them.
Yeah.
When Paris is ready, he can reach out to me and say, "Hey Nick, you free
go.
this weekend?
Let's go.
We'll jump on."
Yeah.
That's what Thomas Mahler did. Thomas Mahler just out of nowhere sent me a DM saying, "Hey, don't jump on." Out of nowhere, like
I know that was a crazy time.
Out of nowhere, just sent me a DM. Literally, I think an hour before we were supposed to go on, saying, "Hey, can I still be on the podcast?" I'm like, yeah, okay." And we're like, so when Paris is ready, he can send me a DM and we'll organize it. We've
got to have good old Jeffrey Grubb on again at some point, right? You know, now he's in
yeah. I've been talking to Jeff, and if you're still in the chat, I have left Jeff alone for a bit because he was saying he was busy and he needs to do a few things.
Big bombcast guy now, you know.
Yeah, so I left Jeff alone a little bit. But yeah, okay. Community questions.
Matthew Hazelhurst in the chat. It's the special guest Flap Blamer.
Who?
It's a play on words. Think of someone that rhymes with Flap Blamer.
Flap Blamer. Oh.
No.
Okay. No. I'm not sure why he'd be on.
There's lots of people guessing. Let me just make sure it's not
Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
We've been open about Phil. We've tried.
It's not Phil, but it isn't. It
been open.
It isn't any of the ones that are currently in the chat. Well, don't worry.
Can I just ask something though? Can I ask something?
Yeah.
And this is why I asked you: is that still happening? If it is 100%, why can't we just say?
Because it's like 99.5, and until I've got 100% and a date, I'm not going to say because it just builds up hope and expectation.
And that's why I asked if it's still 100. If it's 100%, why can't we just say? But if it's not 100%,
I imagine either next week's episode, which I'm not on, but I might be able to give you confirmation. We'll be able to announce it, or the one after that might be the actual episode.
When's Gamescom?
This week coming
again? It's this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've got to get you up at 3 a.m. for a live stream, haven't we?
Yeah.
I've checked. I'm clear to do it.
I've already booked the day off. For it.
Okay, good.
So I'll either go to sleep early and get up at 2:30, or I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, with that. So hold on. That guest was supposed to be after Gamescom, so that's next week's episode.
Well, it will be in that time period just after Gamescom, so it might necessarily be that specific episode.
Okay.
If it was, I'd have to do something and sort something out because I ain't missing it.
That means I'd be running the show when he's on.
Yeah, that's not happening. We can't let that happen, folks, can we? Anyway, go on. Community questions. Who's up first?
Okay. TornRaptor. Greetings, team. What is your controller collection looking like so far this generation? Despite owning a Pro version 2, don't you mean an Elite?
He does.
I have bought the red, blue, lime green, and have ordered the Aqua Shift 1. You have to be careful saying that. Aqua Shift. Because you can very easily say something else. Do I need them all? No. But I like having them anyway. Nick, with only one more round of AFL, the top 8 for the most part is set. Who do you believe will go all the way this year? Well, Melbourne just beat Geelong. So but I just don't have faith that Melbourne won't choke. I'm hoping for the Bulldogs, but they look like they're dropping off.
Is this sports? Is this Australian sports?
Yeah. It's AFL. It's Australian rules.
I sleep.
It looks like it's probably going to be Geelong. It looks like. I'd love for Melbourne to win it. I would love for Melbourne to win it because it's been so long since Melbourne have won the premiership. But yeah, I don't trust them to not choke. So yeah. In terms of controllers, I haven't gone as crazy on controllers yet this generation. Last generation I did. I went absolutely mental. I went bonkers. Like, I got the Sea of Thieves one, which I sold for a massive profit. I got the Titanfall one, which I still have. I've got an Elite 2 and Elite 1. I got the Halo 5 Sheath one. I had so many controllers last generation. This generation, I've just bought that new red one for my son for his iPad, but that's it. But the Aqua Shift is tempting. I did try to get an Aqua Shift controller from Xbox Australia. Did you see those emails that I sent?
Definitely.
I did. I did reach out to Xbox Australia saying, hey guys, I'd love to do an unboxing and I'd like to have that ready and in advance. So you reckon you guys can send me an Aqua Shift controller to do an unboxing? And they're like, nope.
Good. Why not?
I tried.
Good try.
They didn't send me one.
I haven't got. I don't do custom pads. I usually buy a pad when I don't know what it is about my hands. I have abrasive hands, right? Even though I'm an office worker and I don't have any calluses apart from when I play guitar. But I find that I don't have sweaty hands either. But I find that after a while on the 360 pads, I would wear away that kind of rough grip feeling.
Yes.
And they become worn to the nub.
Yes.
I
hate that.
Like
and they get shiny and oily.
And I was
I hate that.
Time for a new pad, and I would love it for like 4 weeks because it would feel all like. But with the Xbox One and the Series consoles, mostly because I predominantly use the Elite, I don't really have that problem anymore. And my Series S pad, the white one, it's still got that feel. So I'm quite happy. But I've got a Sea of Thieves one floating around. I've got a black one that came with the Series X. And that's probably about it. I did have the Titanfall limited edition controller from 2013.
I've got that one.
Or 2014.
I've got that one.
But that's it. I'm not really a
so good, the
collector.
Titanfall one.
But yeah.
Yeah. Microsoft actually did make a controller that's resistant to all the oils and stuff. I don't know if they did it intentionally. And I'm actually shocked that they don't use that material in all their controllers as standard because it does resist all of that. The 360 limited edition silver controller with the twisty D-pad?
I had that controller, yes.
I've got it still, and it's not worn away. It still has the new feel of a controller. Like if I could, I don't know if this camera would be good enough to show it, but I can grab it from back there because I still have it out and bring it up to the camera. There's no oil wear away. There's no, it still has that feeling.
It's such an important thing. It's so weird. I've just seen Cerys in the chat. Wash your hands, sick, you acidic, greasy monster. I have a weird thing about having dirty hands. I probably wash my hands more than 15 times a day.
So do I.
It's a really strange thing.
I've got so much hand sanitizer on my hands.
I was doing my patio, like doing the pointing, which is where you're filling in all the gaps between all the big slabs. Late in the evening on Wednesday with my mate before we went home, and it was like the last job. And I'm out there with a spoon, and I'm kind of pushing in this stuff, and you're tamping it down with and you're taking literally a teaspoon and just making it smooth. But my hands were covered in cement, and I couldn't help myself. It was like every 15 minutes, as soon as he paused to make up a new batch of cement, I'd be inside washing it all off, even though I was about to get dirty again. Yeah. I just can't stand having gross stuff on my hands. It's a weird thing. So I don't think they're greasy. They're just abrasive. They're just rough hands, Cerys, yeah? Anyway.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw in the chat, Matthew Hazelhurst goes, is it Matt LeBlanc for the Special Friends? Oh, how good would that be? Can you imagine if we could get one of the Friends cast on to do an episode? Oh, God, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Listen, Hazelhurst, you know what you're doing with comments like that, all right? You just pack it in now.
I am going to make it my mission.
Please don't.
To get a friend, to get one of the cast members of Friends on the podcast.
Does Freddie Prinze Jr. count? He's a big Sea of Thieves fan.
He was on Friends.
He was on Friends. Does he count?
They were very good. That was a very good episode. The one with Freddie Prinze Jr.
No, look,
that was that was such a good episode where he was the nanny. That was so good. That was really, really good.
Yes, it was.
I like that episode. Okay.
Anyway.
DirtyFlint. Hello, lads. Let's all pile into the car and go on a road trip. But first, we got to prepare. What are some of your favorite road trip snacks? I hate road trips.
I love road trips.
I don't like long drives. Like, my parents live an hour away, and I don't even like driving there.
Well,
and that's to see my parents.
So, this may come as a shock to some, seeing as I'm nearly 40, but I still don't drive. I bought a house when I was young. I commuted to London. It was just never a priority. And when we had kids, it was more a priority for my wife to learn to drive. And I was always buying new toys instead of spending money on a car or driving lessons. So it just never came up. It's probably something I'm going to do. Yeah, probably something I'm going to have to take care of in the next 1 or 2 years because it's getting really annoying.
How is it that there's a person under the age of 80 these days that doesn't drive?
It's me.
Like, my grandfather doesn't drive. He's 85. Like, he never bothered to get a license.
Maybe I'm 85 in spirit. It's just one of those things. It's just how life was. Like, money was so tight when I was a kid. I had my own home from 20. Like, I had a mortgage, and I was on my first job on that. While I had that mortgage, I was on 13 grand a year, and it was literally paycheck to paycheck, like loads and loads of debt. It was horrible. It was horrible time. And as I've climbed out of it, and obviously got into a relationship and had kids, it was always like, I would rather spend money on a house than worry about driving because I commute in London. Like, I go to the station.
Yeah, but no one's saying you have to buy the car.
No, I know, but it's expensive.
Your license.
I could never justify spunking all the cash and doing it. It is something that's on my list.
How much does it cost to get your license in the UK?
You've got to take driving lessons, and you've got to do it. You're probably going to have to do 20 of them. They're fairly pricey. You probably spend
I keep forgetting about that.
Quite a bit of money. And as someone that was living at the time paycheck to paycheck, it fell off to the wayside, much to my father's immense disappointment. But it's definitely got to be done. But I do. It's weird. I like road trips, but I do get car sick. So I try to avoid really, really long ones. If it's in someone's car that I don't know, I have to be familiar with the car. But
Are you seeing Matt Hazelhurst's comments?
I just did he get off the?
I like that.
Stop it, Hazelhurst. All right.
I like that.
But yeah.
No, before that, there's a comment before that. It's good. I like it.
Nick hits the what's going on, followed by LeBlanc saying, "How you doing?"
That's so good.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's all right.
That's so good. I like Macca's. My favourite road trip snack is Macca's. I like getting Macca's on the way. Go through the drive-through, get something from Macca's, and away I go. I'm
a big fan of two necessities for a road trip. One is a big pot of Blue Extra, and the other...
Extra. I have Extra.
The other is a nice big bag of minstrels, Galaxy minstrels. Solid road trip snack, that is. They don't melt in your hands like other chocolate. You can wolf them down. They usually come in quite a sizable bag. It's good stuff. Galaxy minstrels. Hey,
and remember, did I tell you that snack that you and Jez were talking about? Turns out you can get it in Australia.
You can? What snack was it that we were talking about?
There was some snack that you two both loved, and I was like, oh, we don't have that in Australia. And then I Googled it, and we actually do. There's a store that has them here. I can't remember what the hell they're called. If you say it.
It was Twiglets.
Yes.
I did not love Twiglets, but yes, I know what you're talking about. It's a Marmite snack, but yes.
Then maybe it wasn't Twiglets. Maybe it was a different one. I don't know.
I'm sure
there was
Twiglets
something that you were both talking about that I could have sworn you both loved. And then I said, no, we don't have it here. And then I looked it up after the show, and we actually do. Okay. Next one. Brit. Sick, welcome back. How did it feel to watch the podcast without yourself? He's done it before.
Yeah, it's true. The Jeff Grubb episode.
Jeff Grubb and I hosted a Christmas episode together. Like, I've done it before. Yes, I understand. Like, hosting does not come naturally to me. I think that's why this works. Because John's a more natural host than I am. I'm not a host.
I'll take that compliment.
I'll do what I can. But... And I'm sure if I got more practice at it, like anything, like I wasn't amazing at Rocket League as soon as I picked up the controller. I became amazing at Rocket League. Same with Halo SWAT.
Oh.
I was just start great. I've practiced.
Give me strength.
That's how these things work.
Give me strength. We can't let him host too much and become good, because then I'd be under threat. Yeah, I have to. Redundant. Yeah, I have to maintain my relevance.
That's right.
But it was nice. I watched the episode. It was a good episode. It was a bit short.
It was very short. It was very
comparatively,
short.
But it was nice to see.
I was shocked at how short it was.
It was nice to see.
No tangents.
No tangents. Shocking.
That's the one thing with me hosting. It's very regimented. Let's go. Maybe that's the way. If people start preferring that, oh dear, say goodbye to. We do have a lot of people complain that our podcasts are too long. Nick, what do you plan to do differently the next time you're in charge? Well, that's next week. So, I don't know what I'm going to do differently. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I just need practice. I still feel awkward. And I don't, as much of a shit talker as I am, I strangely struggle to talk shit out of nowhere, for the sake of it. What's good about John and I is that John is good at poking me like this to get the shit out of me, but I'm not great at just producing it on my own. But he's very good at just
I talk shit for a living. That's my job.
Usually you can tell from someone's personality. You can probably get an inkling of it from their job. In my job, I'm not a manager or in a management position, and you can probably tell that. Where if I had to guess, I don't know what John does, but if I had to guess, he's probably in some kind of managerial role. And you can kind of just tell these things. But yeah, anyway. I don't know what I'm going to do different next week. I have no idea. I'll probably just...
You might have the special guest, and then you're going to have a whale of a time.
Maybe. There is one guest that we have. He said he can do the 4th of September. That might end up being the other guest episode.
Oh, okay. That's soon.
Actually, no, you're right. So next week is the 28th. Okay, I need to go off UK dates.
Yeah.
Next week is the 20... where are we? Next week is the 28th. Oh, yeah. So if the episode after is the special guest episode, then Paul can't be on the 4th.
No.
It was Paul Tassi. I'm reaching out to Paul Tassi about being on. That's not who the special guest is that John and I are referring to that we don't want to say. I'm just trying to get Paul Tassi on, and Paul said he could be on the 4th, but then I just realised that that's probably the episode our very special guest will be on. I don't know.
We'll find out. I should have an update this week. We'll find out. But speaking of, Gamescom and stuff, I think that was the final part of the question. Any updated predictions?
Predictions? Well, not from me. Not from me. Everything's sort of out there now.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see some Age of Empires maybe stuff. Feels like a Gamescom-y type.
Didn't they already say no to that?
I don't know. I have to admit, I've been on holiday. I've not been paying a huge amount of attention.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to suddenly see crazy surprises. Like they said, it will be just updates on existing stuff. So, what have we got coming this year? Horizon 5, Infinite, but they've said that we're not going to see anything. So, the list is rapidly dwindling. So, we'll probably see the Gunk, I think. We'll probably see something on Horizon, maybe some sort of new mode or something, or a deep dive into the creative tool if we haven't seen that yet. But, Scorn, maybe. There's all sorts of indie titles we can still have a look at. But, yeah.
I hope there's a surprise.
Yeah.
I think they've said there won't be, but I hope there will be.
Yeah.
Did we read? You didn't read this super chat. Did you do that on purpose because you saw what it was? Did you purposely not read that super chat because you saw what it was?
No. We've come to the end of Brit's question.
Lie.
I'd taken note of Faisal's super chat. I was hoping.
Which? Okay, Faisal. Which Xbox studio should make the official Friends game, and what would the genre be? It would be like a question. It would be like Lights, Camera. Remember Lights, Camera, Action?
Yeah.
Was it Lights, Camera, Action? The one with the buzzers? I've got that game on 360. Surely it's like a quiz game. Surely.
I don't know. Like,
And just nothing but questions about Friends. Because what would a Friends game be aside from a point-and-click adventure game? You pick one of the 6 friends, and you got to make your way through life, and that'd be a little. I mean, yeah, for fans of Friends,
Sims management tool type game.
Yeah, I think it should just be a quiz game.
Well, that's going to be our Christmas episode, right? Is we're going to get the community to give a Friends quiz, and then we'll compete live for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
Just don't let 343 make the Friends game.
Oh, had to get it in there.
Don't let 343 make it. Let it be one of the others. Turn 10. I don't know. Can you imagine a racing studio making a Friends game?
Compulsion, so it'd be really weird in that kind of weird art style.
Maybe that's what Compulsion is making.
Oh god.
And it's an exclusive to Xbox.
It would be so weird. Oh dear.
Okay. Beast Mode 10. Not sure Sick is back yet. Nick might still be in charge. That's okay. He's back. Hello, Nick, Jesse, Mike, OBM. Guessing the panel members here. Nah, it's just the two of us. I think there was a discussion about movie studios in one of the earlier shows. Yes, there was. But I would point to much more humble acquisitions. That of a comic book IP. What is a good available comic book IP worth having? Available? How would... These need not be your usual DC Marvel IPs, but IPs that would still have lore and can be utilized for a narrative experience. And of course, which studio would you want to make that IP into a game? For example, I was slightly disappointed that Guillermo del Toro did not get to complete his trilogy of Hellboy. I would want the third Hellboy to be made into a game by the Coalition, with screenplay and story inputs from Del Toro himself. I think I can guess easily who the secret Xbox reviewer of Psychonauts 2 is. Cheers. Wait. Is that our review? Is that our review?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, I'm just saying, I didn't put it together until just then, and from what you told me before the show, off air.
Yeah, I'm making the video.
When you said to me that you're editing the video for that, and I'm like,
yeah,
why the hell are you editing that video for?
Yeah, I'm editing that. I'm editing it tomorrow, so I've got all the clips. I've got it. I'm not going to say anything more about it because it's all under embargo. So yeah.
Yeah. Now I know why. Okay, that makes sense.
I love
comic
the
book
choice.
IP.
Hellboy game made by the Coalition would be pretty cool. Or
why is everything the Coalition?
Because I think he's probably thinking from a third person perspective because you want to see the comic book character doing cool stuff.
Oh, of course, yes.
But id is another one that would be great. A Hellboy game like with the Doom style arts, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see
another comic book IP.
The Tick.
Wasn't there a Tick game years ago?
Oh God, might be like in
the
Earthworm Jim era. Yeah, probably.
Like wasn't there?
Possibly.
I sworn there was a game about the Tick. Yeah, there was on Mega Drive. There you go, 16-bit. Told you.
Wow.
I had a funny feeling it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah.
1994.
Wow.
I was 14. I knew it. See, my memory's not that terrible. I'm like, I could have sworn when I was a kid there was a game about the Tick, and there was. It was on Mega Drive. It looks like it was on. Was it on Super Nintendo as well? I think it might have been. There's a chance it might have been. Oh yeah, it was on both.
Yeah, I can't think of many, because arguably any comic book character is already owned by someone, right? So when we say available, we're just basically taking DC and Marvel off the table, I suppose.
And there's a lot that you don't realize are comics. Like, not until very much later, I didn't realize that Constantine was a DC comic.
Yeah. Or was
How good would a Constantine game be?
I actually secretly really liked the film. Plus, it had a really good soundtrack.
Oh, it was amazing. I love the film. I adored that film.
Yeah,
Constantine's
do
great.
You know what? I haven't seen it in ages. I might watch it.
I'm in Constantine. I'm in it.
Are you?
Yeah. Some people will get that joke, others won't. You know how people say somehow I look like Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's in that, isn't he? He's like the sidekick.
Oh, by the way, Constantine, when did that movie come out? It was like years ago, like a decade ago or something.
Oh, God, it's like 2006 or something.
You know that I did not know until like a year or two ago that Constantine has an end credit scene.
What?
Yeah, I know. That was my reaction when I watched it. Because we were watching it just on free-to-air TV, and then the end of the movie came. We're on our phones, a little bit distracted. You know, the credits are going in the background. All of a sudden, an end credit scene comes on, and my wife and I are like,
"Where's this come from?
What?
What?"
Like, because we watched it at the cinema. We didn't hang around for the end credit scene because end credit scenes weren't that much of a thing, especially outside of Marvel. Like, hold on. Now I want to know when Constantine came out.
2005.
2005. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe hadn't even started yet. So end credit scenes weren't a common thing. So we didn't hang around for an end credit scene in 2005 for Constantine. There's an end credit scene in Constantine.
Wow. I'm gonna have to watch the movie this weekend.
Oh, so you don't want me to spoil it then?
No, please don't.
Like,
no,
I'm actually of limitations, surely. It's 16 years.
I'm actually going to watch it, though. Don't spoil it. I'll watch it and I'll ping you. I'll let you know what I thought.
Yeah. Like, I was shocked. Like, we freaked out. We could not believe that. And there's been no sequel to Constantine.
I want a Constantine game now. I want a Constantine game.
There is one. Someone just said in the chat that apparently there is one.
Yeah, but I want a good Constantine game.
Well, let's have a look. Where is it? Oh, yeah, look at that. It was on PS2 and OG Xbox.
Yeah, I remember
Windows.
now you said it. It came out on the OG Xbox.
Oh, yeah, wow. That was probably a terrible game.
Jesse, Blade by Ninja Theory.
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be good.
That'd be a good one.
Watchmen by Arcane. God, there's some good choices coming up in the chat.
Oh, Watchmen. Yeah, Watchmen. How about,
cool.
because Microsoft has no E-rated content, how about a Big Hero 6 game?
Oh, I loved Big Hero 6. It was such
Big
a good
Hero
little film.
6 was a Big Hero 6 co-op, beat 'em up, brawler thing. That'd be cool. Special moves, and you can fly around, and you can have stages where you're flying on Baymax's back that are like shooter sequences, like an Ace Combat type sequence, and you could have a Big Hero 6 game would be.
It'd be pretty cool if you could hot swap between the characters and stuff. Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be really, really cool. But yeah,
good question.
District 9.
Is that a comic?
Again by the Coalition.
People love the Coalition, man. They're a good studio.
There's other studios.
I know, but they're a proven studio that releases games often.
Punisher. We do need a new Punisher game.
There's
we
lots,
do like
there's
a
lots
prop.
out there.
And that's actually, you know what? For all the crap I give third person over the shoulder slow walker talk, Punisher would work like that. Like Punisher needs to be a gritty, dark third person over the shoulder, brutal. You know, you just beat the ever loving F out of people, and yeah, Punisher would be good.
Be very cathartic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay.
Good question. Likes that one.
Next question. Colbert. I'm sure you will talk a lot about the Halo news in the next edition of the podcast.
Yep.
So my question to the panel is the following. How pissed you are as a Halo fan that Halo co-op is missing at launch? On a scale from 0, which is not pissed at all, to 5, large amount of pissed beyond imagination. Where are you on that scale?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm pissed. I'm just, it's like when a parent says to you, I'm not angry,
Yes,
I'm just disappointed. I'm probably hovering on a 4 or 5. Like it genuinely hurts that I won't be able to have the traditional LAN whole weekend, no kids, just campaign and multi, and just unlocking all the cool achievements that you can do with friends and experimenting and playing with the sandbox. I'm genuinely very upset that that's a thing. So probably a 4 or a 5 if I'm using that scale, but I would not use the word pissed.
Yeah. I'm a 3.
Fair.
It is. I mean, we talked about that at least.
Let's not relive it. I can see the next question is very Halo, but we'll let you read it out.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think. Okay, so having listened, who wants to talk about Halo? I ask you read the question as I feel it touches on some ground not mentioned in the podcast thus far, But if you want to skip it, that's okay. Also, just saying Jeff Keighley or Destin Ligeri are the fabled guests.
He's edited this because we've talked about it. Okay.
Oh, has he?
He edited it 15 minutes ago. So good call. Well played, DeoGame.
Right. Okay. Well, Jeff and Destin aren't the guests. Having said that, I am trying to get Destin on the podcast. I got Destin into the Discord. That was a fluke. I got him in the Discord. The
infamous Discord that creates FUD about PlayStation.
Yeah. We sunk the market-leading PlayStation 5. Yeah, I made a joke to one of Destin's tweets, and then I didn't realize his DMs are open. If I had known his DMs were open, I would have tried to get him in so long ago.
Don't get me wrong. I have been pestering the man, and he was just like, I'm really busy. DM me again. And he kind of was like, I need a break right now. I'm really, really busy. So I was like, okay, I'll leave you alone. And that was the last time I spoke to him. Fair enough.
He had a baby semi-recently, so
keeps you busy.
I think there's a lot of... Yes, it does. You'd be surprised. No, but it's funny. ZDocs tried to get him into the Discord ages ago. Yet I just sent him an invite and he jumped in. And I started DMing him on Discord, and he said he'll probably jump on, but we've just got to work out the finer details. So Destin's not the special guest. Having said that, I am working towards getting Destin on. I would like to have him on. Okay. I had a bit of a joke about how he pronounced my name.
Shpeshal
Shpeshal. Okay. Shpeshal's pretty funny. All right. I'm normally pretty positive on Xbox. I have no reason not to be really. However, there is a trend of theirs I have seen time and time again that gets me at least a little bit worried. Their reliance on games as a service to make up for missing content. We saw it in Sea of Thieves, we saw it in State of Decay 2, we saw it in Bleeding Edge, and now we're seeing shades of it again in Halo Infinite. I understand that games as a service on the whole can be pretty positive. One need only look at Forza Horizon and Flight Sim of examples that build upon a base of expected content to make a great game even better. Similarly, for all their launch faults, Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 are far better games now, and with a market defined by the likes of Anthem and Marvel's Avengers, that is still admirable. However, I'm not sure in the long run if this is the right move for Microsoft. It made sense back when there were gaping holes in the release schedule and 5 studios, but starting 2022, the case is pretty moot. It's a moo point. It's moo. Like a cow's opinion. It doesn't matter. Halo already had a massive delay, and while I'm looking forward to playing it, it does need to be mentioned that there are expectations going into it. It's a monster of Bungie's making, to be honest, as games like Battlefield and Last of Us are able to slash core components without the media complex even batting an eye. But Halo is still stuck in Bungie's shadow and held to a somewhat unfair standard of having to be the complete package, and I'm nervous this will sink the game's critical and fan receptions because of it.
Yep.
That's why I said do your own thing, release the multiplayer separately. I understand the rationale, but with the packed holiday from Microsoft, they could have, not saying should have, delayed the game. But all of this ultimately speaks to a wider issue for me that Microsoft at least are on the surface level appear to be valuing getting the product out over getting the product done. I don't know. Am I too off base here? Was the trade-off worthwhile? Is it better to get a smaller scope product out and then build on it? Or will Microsoft's familiarity with this tactic come to harm their reputation in the long term? I.e., people skip Avowed, Fable, etc. launch out of fear of them releasing fully 6 months later. Granted, Game Pass is a good solution to this, but still, optics matter. Yeah, I mean, there's some validity to that.
Yeah.
But isn't the only part that I didn't really understand was he said they appear to value getting the product out over getting the product done. Isn't it the opposite? I mean, look how long they've given Infinite.
Is they're not willing to delay it again and would rather release it without feature X, Y, and Z than get it fully baked,
Yeah, but then we're back in, how long do you want to delay it, dude?
Well, I think
people were calling me crazy for saying a year last year. So is it crazy to say a year again? 2 years? how long, like at some point, like I understand letting studios do their own thing and blah, 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 blah. At some point, a game's got to release, doesn't it? Especially when you've spent so much money on it.
Yeah.
And
there's a couple of points there. Like Joe Staten, I think, said, and I'm paraphrasing from the video, he said, at some point we have to start, like, because it is, launch is the beginning, to coin, their phrase, because it is planned to have continual life breathed into it over the course of seasonal content, etc., etc. That's always been their plan. They've already got their first year roadmap planned out. I don't think all games are going to follow that route, because some games don't necessitate it, right? Like, Fable is not going to have, it might have a cooperative multiplayer component, but it's not going to have, it's not going to have seasons and battle passes. It's Fable. It's a single player story thing, right? You're just not going to see something like that in that kind of genre. So there's swings and roundabouts to it, like Microsoft have seen a lot of success with Sea of Thieves, and obviously Halo's been in development before Sea of Thieves was released, right? It's been in development for 6 years. They've learned a lot from that game. I'm sure they've probably spoken to Rare a fair bit about how to make that tenable, and they've rewritten their engine to allow for faster creation of content, right? So that they're not constrained as much as they were. I completely understand where you're coming from, Dio. I think you've made a pretty valid point. Do they risk people giving up on games and waiting? I don't think it's going to be applicable to every single game Microsoft makes. There is this narrative that all they do is games as a service, and I just ain't true. I mean, I think if you watch our Game Pass analysis video that OBM did, I think it's only like 70 or 80% of the games on Game Pass are fully single player with no DLC, no microtransactions, nothing. So
yeah, but you know what the argument is there, though.
I know.
Let's be real.
I know.
That's the thing. The goalposts shift. So you hit someone with facts, which is that 70% or whatever of the games are single player, but they're not third person over the shoulder single player, so they don't count.
Yeah.
Like, it's just more of that disingenuous garbage. Like, I can't wait for the day when we move on from that, when only Sony single player games count as single player games.
Yeah. The one extra point there that I think DeoGame is right is man, I hate using this as an example. A single player game from another platform holder releases, and it is $70, and it is 20 hours of single player content, and it comes out and it's done and it tells its story and it's it, and it gets 9s and 10s across the board because it was so emotionally impactful. Halo comes out, and let's just say, right, because we don't know, let's just say the campaign is everything any Halo fan would ever want it to be. It ticks all the boxes and it tells a deep, perfect story that's really self-contained, great, action-packed, ticks all the boxes. Will critics it didn't launch with Forge. It didn't launch with split-screen co-op. I'm going to give it an 8 or a 7 or something ridiculous. Are we going to see reviews like that? I fully expect it. And that's so depressing that it's held to a different standard. I don't know why that is. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is. So
I just assume it's an expectations thing. Like, no one has an expectation of split screen co-op in The Last of Us Part 2. No one has an expectation of multiplayer in those games. The funny thing is, Uncharted 4 had multiplayer, Last of Us had multiplayer. Last of Us 2 is supposed to be getting multiplayer
at some point.
But in the end, those multiplayers aren't very good. Like, they're just there. Like, I mean, don't ask those fans because they're going to tell you it's the greatest thing ever. But they're not. And in the end, it's more an expectations thing.
Yeah.
This isn't me defending that. I'm just saying, like, it's the reason why Halo will lose points in reviews is because it's an expectation, where it's not an expectation in The Last of Us. It's not expected to have a co-op campaign with split screen and all those sorts of things. Rightly or wrongly, I'm just saying, like, that is why.
Yeah.
I think it's. I personally, I don't know if it's right to dock it because of no campaign. Like, the reviewer's not reviewing it based on co-op. The reviewer is playing it in single player. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it seems a bit funny to say, oh, well, this didn't have co-op campaign, so I'm only going to give it an 8. Even though he was never going to play it in co-op because he was reviewing it for himself.
Yeah.
Or herself. Or themselves. I don't know. I can only say it's probably expectations. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Before you do Cerys' question, because I know you're prepared, Jesse made a very good question, very good point. He said, "Hey John, make sure you plug our Twitch page," and that's right.
I know. I was going to do that at the end.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now anyway.
Like when we talk about what we're doing and stuff, I thought we'd mention the Twitch page.
Okay. All right. We'll do that at the end. That's fine.
Okay. Alrighty. On to Cerys. Although I will say it's technically not as long as DeoGames.
Wow.
But okay.
Hello
all. Yeah. How are the turntables? Biggerfoot2 on the Discord and his partner had a baby on Tuesday and she's gorgeous. Well done, Mama, and well done, Biggerfoot2.
Congratulations.
Naturally, yes, congratulations. I didn't see that. Naturally, such news set my broodiness to DEFCON 5. We love babies and we wanted more. Sadly, Chance said no. Never mind. I wish sometimes one could trade in children for a newer baby every 4 or 5 years, just as they get annoying and start talking back. Trade them in and get a new tiny one that looks cute and vomits and little else. You know, I read this question last night and, you know, my wife and I talk about this, like, because what happens is my wife will see a baby and she'll be like, let's have another one. And I'm like, you could not pay me to have another baby.
Bro, if I could fist bump you through the screen right now, I would. Man. I have the same conversation. My 7-year-old has turned into Kevin from the Harry Enfield and Chums show, the sketch show. It might be a British thing, you might not know.
Yeah, probably.
I'll send you a link, but for any Brits watching, who was like, there was a couple of movies, Kevin and Perry Go Large and stuff like that, but basically he was like, there's a really classic sketch of Kevin and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be 13 soon, and he's like speaking properly and he's like all cap wearing backwards and he's all having fun. He's like, yay, and then they're counting down to midnight and he's like, oh, I'm 13 now, and then he goes, ugh, and then he goes, and then the camera pans and he's got all long hair and he's just like, all his limbs don't work and he's just flopping about going, oh, it's so unfair, I hate you, like that. And it's just pure classic, and that is what my 7-year-old is like right now, and it is infuriating. Oh, wow. It's like, you know, I just want to strangle him. I want to be like, dude, stop being a dick. But I mean, I love him. He's my son, but he's being a right little asshole.
Like, I understand the thinking. Like, and yeah, my wife sees a baby, let's have another baby. I'm like, just stop and think for a second. The reason you're excited over this baby is because it's someone else's baby. That person's going to take that baby home, and that baby's going to keep them up all night crying, and that baby's going to be sick, and they're not going to know what's wrong with the baby, and they're going to have to deal with the stress of their poor sick baby that they don't know what's wrong with it because the baby can't talk and tell you what's wrong, and it's going to keep them up all night and stress them out, and it's going to poop its pants, and it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Remember the bad stuff. You're just seeing the good stuff, the baby being presented to you in the best light. That's why you want another baby. Just no. You could not pay me to have a third child. Like, yes, kids get very annoying. You know, my daughter is 9 and the attitude is off the charts. Like, if you think I'm bad, like imagine me as a 9-year-old girl. Like, just
I'd rather not.
The attitude is off. You know what I mean, though.
I know.
The attitude is absolutely off the charts.
That's the worst thing. Like, I just get told, it's just like you were when you were a kid. This is your punishment for being horrible to us. That's what my parents tell me when they look at my son. They're just like, he's literally you. And I'm like, ugh.
I will say though, my son is 5, and he's because I play Rocket League, he has started to play Rocket League, and he's actually getting legitimately
okay for a 5-year-old, because remember, he is 5.
Yeah.
And he's also playing on Switch. So he's actually at a handicap compared to other people playing Rocket League, because playing Rocket League on a Switch is a disgraceful experience.
Wow.
Like it's not something I would actually wish on anyone. And he's actually getting good at it on Switch. We were even playing together yesterday. It was great. I've never really played games properly with him yet. So it was cool playing Rocket League with my 5-year-old. And I reckon by the time he's like 10, he will be an absolute megastar. He will be an absolute gun at it. And I can't wait. But we digress.
Sorry, Cerys. Big tangent. But
we started talking about trading in babies. So we went off on a tangent there. Okay. I splurged out such tips as I remember, which nappy rash cream, etc. Then I remembered looking at our screaming, fighting, obnoxious crotch goblins now, how much fun you can have with a baby versus grown children. Babies are nowhere near as fragile as people imagine, and you can have great fun sitting them in a pan of water on the hob with some vegetables. What? What was that sentence I just read? What was that sentence?
I don't know. When I started reading that along as you were saying it, I was picturing, like where you see babies having a bath in the sink, in the household sink, right? Because they're small and they can kind of sit up and they just... and you can be chopping vegetables next to it. But this seems to be alluding that Cerys cooks small children in pots.
That's how I read it. Keep them in a pan of water on the hob with some vegetables. That sounds like cooking the baby. That's how that reads.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not. You can pin your shopping list to their forehead to keep your hands free in Waitrose?
Yeah, Waitrose. It's a supermarket in the UK.
Right. You can draw funny eyebrows on them with an eyebrow pencil.
True.
You can play hidey-boo for hours and not get bored.
Very true.
When they can sit, you can finally buy a fluffy onesie and use a broom shank to push them around the kitchen to mop the floor. Babies are so much more fun. I wish I had more fun with ours at the time. Which leads me to my question. That's why you take lots of videos.
Yeah.
See, we took a lot of videos of both of ours when they were little doing cute stuff. And you only remember that good stuff because you keep the videos. I remember the bad stuff. Yeah. I am one of those people that holds on to the bad stuff. And I remember it and I use it. Anyway, which leads me to my question. Which game would you like to tell your younger self to enjoy more? I think I would tell younger Cerys to enjoy Steel Battalion more, especially since she spent stupid money on it. Not because it's amazing, it's fine of course, but it was so unique and fun and stupidly simmy with the controller. That and Seaman. Oh, remember Seaman on Dreamcast? Which was just bonkers. P.S. No co-op or Forge at launch even after a year's delay. What's all this about? Blimey.
I'm no comment on that part.
Okay. A game that I would tell my younger self to enjoy more. I don't know. I reckon look, the games I loved, I reckon I enjoyed them to their fullest back then.
Yeah.
For me.
See, I used to buy a lot of games because I would be fooled by the hype cycles and I'd be, be drummed into fear of missing out, and I'd pick up the game and then I'd realise that, this isn't my genre. And there's no point in trying, no matter how much I wanted to be a part of that moment. And it actually led to a lot of games kind of like, just being traded in after a while because I realised that it's just not for me. And so I'm kind of inclined to agree. I guess I would tell my younger self to probably... The one game I can think of that I really, really could have been pretty good at, because I was okay at it when I was younger, probably would have been... Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden 2, but like by that point I just didn't invest the time in them that I could have to be really good at them. I was okay.
Yeah.
But sorry Cerys, I enjoy my video games predominantly. Because I especially as I'm older, like I only play the stuff I actually care about. Anything else is just like, don't tickle my fancy, I'm not going to pick you up.
Yeah,
Simples.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I always enjoyed everything to the fullest. All the arcade games, all the Sega Mega Drive games. I enjoyed everything to the fullest. I think. So I actually don't have an answer for that one. Okay, TornRaptor. He's actually got another one. Sick is back. Sick. I asked the guys last week, and Nick didn't disappoint with his choice. So, Sick, what is your favourite 80s power ballad? Mine was Def Leppard. Love Bites. What a classic song. I won't play it again. I played it. I used my phone to play it last week.
Oh, man.
And I don't think we got dinged on YouTube. I think we made it.
I was very disappointed in Mike and Jesse on this one, by the way.
I know. They basically didn't even give an answer. Like, oh, man.
This is really, really tricky.
So many good ones.
I'm trying
so many good ones.
I'm trying to remember, like, man. There's a part of me that wants to choose like a really eclectic choice, but I have a feeling it was 1990, which would have been He-Man Woman Hater. If you haven't heard that song, what the hell am I smoking?
I have not heard that song.
So have you heard More Than Words?
If it's the More Than Words that I think it is.
Words yeah, the Ballad, right?
Yeah.
Same band, Extreme, but they did a track called He-Man Woman Hater. Honestly, mate.
Okay.
Honestly, put it on. If you get the version without the Flight of the Bumblebees intro on guitar, great. But if you do get the version with Flight of Bumblebees on guitar, just skip to like a minute in if you don't want to listen to that. But it's an absolutely banging tune. But I don't think it will count for this question because it's 80s power ballad. And I think He-Man Woman Hater came out in 1990. So
but I don't know, like when I think 80s power ballad, I think of those full-on rock songs like Def Leppard. Like that's what I think of. Like I don't like some of the suggestions people were making, or that Jesse was making. Like I didn't consider them power ballads in the way I was thinking. Like I think of those rock groups.
Yeah, well, I think of my backup choice would probably be Wanted, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi.
See, I don't even consider that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it counts. It's just when I think of Wanted by Bon Jovi, I don't think of.
I mean, if you want to go
ballad.
cheesy power, Total Eclipse of the Heart, maybe,
Yeah, see, obviously, my view of 80s power ballad is probably way too narrow. It's probably way too narrow.
Really?
Again, I don't consider that one either.
Oh, man.
I just, again, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm willing to admit I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But I think of like, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh God. So people are following us on people are following us on Twitch, and I've still got the OBS plugin, so I can hear like the diddling, diddling. So apologies if that came through on the stream.
Oh, right.
Whoops.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. You're all probably right. All of those probably count. Just when I think of those 80s power ballads, I think of stuff like Def Leppard, or the stuff by Journey. Journey.
Yeah, Don't Stop Believing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think of stuff like that.
Or
me anyway.
Or Open Arms by Journey, 1981, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love.
Open
Don't
Arms.
get me wrong. I absolutely love a good bit of 80s cheese.
You're right. Like if you Google 80s power ballad, the first link is a website that talks about the 20 best 80s power ballads, and Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler is on here.
Nice.
As is Love Bites by Def Leppard. As is Open Arms by Journey. So that they're all 80s power ballads.
Yeah, because it's just got to have the riff.
Wanted, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi's here.
Is it really? Amazing.
Yep. Chicago. Chicago. You're the inspiration.
I don't know that one. I have to admit.
Oh, Chicago was so good. Chicago. I can't believe I forgot Chicago last week.
I'm really tempted to play.
You've seen Deadpool, yeah?
I've seen Deadpool. Yeah.
Chicago's in Deadpool. You know those really 80s songs that he plays at the end? You're the inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
Chicago's great.
But seriously,
Chicago is...
He-Man Woman Hater. Like, I'm really tempted to play it through Spotify right now just for the opening riff, but it will probably get picked up on and then demonetized, so I'm not going to. But seriously, everyone should go listen to that song. It's misogynistic a bit because it
sounds it from the title.
It is a bit. It's all a bit like that way inclined. Whoa. That was really odd. Are we still live?
What happened?
Everything went black screen for me right then. Quick, let's get through these questions before I have a power cut.
Okay. Is it back?
It didn't seem to drop, but my screen definitely went whoop. So now I'm nervous.
Okay. All right. Good old Collingwood. Hello, Sikamikanico and Shpeshal Nick. Getting it right this time. Couple of short questions. The footy season, at least for me, is all over bar the barracking. But Premier League started last weekend, so sports played with the ball to the foot doesn't end. 1. The southeastern corner of Australia is generally under lockdown. Yes, we are. And one of the consequences is the cancellation of PAX Australia. Nick, being a Melburnian, did you ever go to PAXAus? And if you did, do you have any good stories from attending that event? Yes, I went to PAX Australia in 2018, and I remember playing Ori. I remember playing Tunic. Stories, I don't really have any. It was just cool to walk around. Like, I remember seeing the limited edition consoles, like the Pokemon Switch before it came out, the Battlefield Xbox One X. I got to play Days Gone. That's where I first played Days Gone before it came out at PAX Australia. I didn't mind it. I remember being cool with it, Days Gone. I just didn't expect it to be this never-ending, bloated thing of a game. But no cool stories or anything from PAX, but I did go. I liked it. It was good. Number 2, John. I watched your review of A Pirate's Life the other day and noted your disappointment on how it turned out. On a wider range of Sea of Thieves and its future, do you feel that A Pirate's Life will benefit the game and experiences as a whole, or do you think perhaps it was much ado over nothing?
I think it will tickle lots of people's fancies. Like I saw nothing but gushing praise from everybody else that played it, which is why I felt so at odds with it. I think if you're American and you've been to Disneyland and you've been on that ride, it is going to tick so many boxes for you that it's just going to really make you feel nostalgic. And if you're a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan, you're going to have a good time. I think there's a couple of things predominantly that just stopped it. The bugs that I experienced and my crew experienced that literally stopped us from progressing for nearly 4 weeks was really frustrating and just made us stop caring about the story. There is a bit of that to it, and I wholeheartedly admit that. But equally, when you're trying to tell a story in a cooperative environment, right, and you don't take away control from the player to play a cutscene, as an example, if you're trying to tell a story, but I can still move around or turn into a barrel or do the palm tree dance, and you've got people chatting in your ears, you just stop paying attention to it. And there were so many moments in that where I was just watching someone speak for ages and they just dragged it on and on, and you were like, I just want to play the game. Just let me play the game. And the biggest offender to me is that they focus so much on foot, when on foot is the worst thing about playing Sea of Thieves. On foot combat is like passable at best. And really
that's why I don't like it.
Really, the only chapter at the end was the best one, and it shouldn't have been that way because I have such fond memories of playing the original Tall Tales. So yeah, massive disappointment. I think it's going to be good for the rest of the game and the community. I don't think it's going to have a negative effect, but you're obviously going to have people that have hopped on just to play that, and then they'll hop right back out again. But it is what it is. That's how multiplayer games work.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Next, Mort. Hi, guys. I would also like you to push Jesse's afternoon streams on Twitch. Come and hang out. The man can play video games, and the chat is very nice. All right. So, a question. With all this Halo Infinite business, I was thinking, what is your favorite disaster movie? Hugs, Mort. That's funny. What is my favorite disaster movie?
Oh man,
that's a tough one.
Well, okay, hang on. What
power ballad question?
What are we classifying as a disaster movie here? Are we saying
Armageddon,
Roland Emmerich, end of the world scenarios? Yeah.
Yeah, 2012.
God,
I don't know.
This is a
Avengers Endgame
question. End of the world disaster. No, Avengers is a comic book movie. Let's not lump that.
I know. I was mucking around.
Okay, good.
It's an interesting question. Have you seen that new Greenland one
I have.
on Amazon?
I have.
That's not bad.
Oh, it's
I
actually,
didn't mind it.
It was good fun. It was good fun. It was
Yeah,
probably a
I
more
didn't mind
realistic scenario, apart from when it got silly. But yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was
I actually
interesting.
didn't mind that one. There's that other new one by Chris Pratt, which is also on Amazon, which is kind of like Edge of Tomorrow-ish.
The time travel one. No,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I didn't mind it.
The
It was
design
okay.
of the creatures
Again, I'm not
was
calling
cool.
it an amazing movie. I'm just saying that it was okay. Probably Armageddon. I liked Armageddon.
Don't do it, Harry. I love you. No, mate, I can't do
I
it.
cried. I did cry
Oh,
when I watched Armageddon. I did cry.
What's wrong with you? Jesus.
Like, hold on. When did Armageddon come out? How old was I? Hold on.
Nah, dude, you ain't getting a pass on this one. Come on.
1998. I was 18. I was 18 when that movie came out. I cried a bit at the end. I cried a little bit at the end. I liked Armageddon.
I'm trying to think. I think to be poignant, Contagion. If you haven't seen it, I watched it during the pandemic. Yeah.
Contagion.
So it's got Lawrence Fishburne, Matt Damon in it, and it's basically.
I have not seen that.
Oh, mate, go watch it. It's basically
Yeah,
what would
Steve
have happened
Soderbergh.
from a pandemic point of view if it was like an R, you know, the infection rate, if it was like, and the lethality rate was like crazy high, and what it would do to the economy and to the countries. It's brutal. It doesn't hold any barriers. It's rough going.
Very relevant too.
Yeah, it got a
Isn't it?
watch from me.
Interesting.
It's a good movie. I think outside of that, like for 90s cheese, Dante's Peak and Volcano.
Oh, yeah.
Volcano for the
Yeah.
scene with the guy that jumps from the subway and like to his ankles in lava and like keeps trying to carry someone to safety, which is just ridiculous.
Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, Deep Impacts because everyone dies. Good.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
There's
good.
a lot of them, isn't there?
There's a lot.
It's hard to think of them all because I'm sure there's others that like I probably liked and I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, Roland Emmerich is the guy that usually does a lot of the disaster movies.
Independence Day,
Yeah,
would you say?
I would class it as a disaster movie because we really do get screwed over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to The Impossible, which is based true story on a disaster movie, although it made all the characters white instead of, I think they were, I want to say they were Indian. But yeah, true story about husband, wife, 2 kids, massive tidal wave comes in to a resort where it's all nice and peaceful and everyone's screwed. The mum gets really injured. The dad gets separated. The 2 kids are completely on their own, like survived drowning.
Okay.
It's brutal. And it's got what's his face? Scottish guy, Ewan McGregor. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Sorry, I could talk movies a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We like I said, we need to do a movie podcast, I reckon.
Titanic.
I love talking about
Titanic's a disaster movie.
Oh god.
Didn't
What
really
did you
like
like
it.
Titanic?
No, not really. It's all right.
Oh, thank God for that.
It's all right.
Thank God for that.
It's
I
average.
felt like the only person on earth. At the time, I felt like the only person on earth that did not like Titanic.
It was.
I'm like,
Do you know what's funny about that film, man? Is Leonardo DiCaprio in it?
it's not good.
Well, it's run of the mill, and it did lots of cool things for the first time in that genre, right? Just James Cameron. He's a very solid creative director, and I like a lot of his movies, even Avatar, believe it or not.
Avatar's okay.
But Aliens and The Abyss and Terminator 2 are probably in my top 10.
Terminator 2.
Aliens, The Abyss, and T2, top 10 movies of all time.
And hold on. True Lies.
And True Lies. How
Like,
could I possibly
True
forget?
Lies
is also
is
in my top
like-
10. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
good.
True Lies is like unbelievable.
Yeah, so
How
good.
good's True Lies?
So good.
But Titanic, I remember, and I was like 18 when it came out, or 17, and I'm like, and you know, when you're 17, you're dumb. like 17-year-olds are dumb. Like we don't know what's good. We don't know what's bad. We're not old enough to have a refined taste yet. We haven't consumed enough stuff. But even as a dumb 17-year-old, I was like, this movie's not good. Like, it was just boring. And I was just like...
The thing is, what I find amusing is that DiCaprio in it is extremely run-of-the-mill, but we know he's a terrific actor.
Brilliant actor.
Right?
Brilliant actor.
And I remember hearing, and I don't know if this is me just imagining it, but I swear I remember reading an interview where he kept trying to inject a little bit more personality into his character. And he was like, no, I just literally want you to be a pretty blue-eyed idiot for the audience, and that's it. You're like, cheese. And that's what he did. It made loads of money.
And James Cameron's smart in that.
He is.
Like, he creates stars. Like, and I'm pretty sure he does it intentionally. When he makes a movie, he picks someone who's not a big name yet because he knows that they're, like, cheap and they'll just do whatever. Like,
that worked in every case apart from Sam Worthington, who had, like, a couple of big roles and then he's just disappeared.
Oh, God, Worthington, my God. He's, like, the human equivalent of, like, I don't know, as an actor, like, it's like cardboard.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, he seems like a great bloke. Yeah. Like, you can tell he's probably one of those guys that's like a top guy in real life. But
he's not the best.
I was so gutted at what he and whatever the director was of Clash of the Titans. Like, I remember as a kid, I adored Clash of the Titans, right? That 1981 Harryhausen special effects, whatever, set in mythical ancient Greece, blah, blah. Absolutely, as a Greek kid, like, absolutely adored Clash of the Titans. And my entire life, I'm like, why won't they remake Clash of the Titans? It is a movie that is begging for modern day special effects. It would be amazing. And then when I heard they were making Clash of the Titans, I was like, yes, finally. And oh my God, it was the worst movie.
Did you see the recent movie he did with the hospital where he's like, he drops someone off there who's hurt and then they disappear and everyone claims that he never brought them in and and then when they go watch it, I think it's on Netflix. I think it's a straight to Netflix movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it's
I'll look him up on IMDb and I'll see it.
It's very silly. And it's not good.
I don't know. I was just gutted by Clash of the Titans. Like, it was ancient Greece, and Sam Worthington had a shaved head. And I was like, what? How did that get through?
Yeah.
How people weren't shaving their heads in ancient Greece, man. They didn't have clippers.
Yep.
Like, everyone had long hair.
That's very weird.
Well, except for the people that were bald. But, like, and just he talked with his Aussie accent.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even try and put on an accent.
It's very silly.
They went to that Medusa scene in Clash of the Titans, the original, is like this iconic, classic, atmospheric, brooding, scary scene. And like in the new Clash of the Titans, they want to go down to kill Medusa, and Sam Worthington just turns around to the crew and he's like, "Let's go get this bitch," in like his Aussie accent. And I'm like, oh my God, what have they done to this movie? It was just... oh my God, it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
it was just horrible.
That's a
disaster
waste.
Movie.
I'm waiting for
Clash of the Titans is a disaster movie.
I'm waiting for a proper good remake from a really good director of Jason and the Argonauts. To be honest with you, like doing all the Harryhausen animations. Having said that, let's be honest. Dune in October.
Still haven't watched a single shred of the new trailers or anything like that.
Go in blind, man. I've seen one trailer. I don't need to see anything else. Is it Denis Villeneuve? Villeneuve, whatever he pronounced it. He's made nothing but good movies. He knows what he's doing. I'm not even going to worry about it. I am going to go to IMAX for this one in Waterloo, the big one in London. I am going to enjoy the out of that film.
I've never seen the original Dune.
Well, you read the book.
Never seen it.
But the original film is unique and it's got its moments. Like it's got a bit of a cheese to it. But yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, sorry, movie tangents.
Yeah. That's why we need to do a podcast. Okay, there's only 2 questions left.
Okay.
If you have already speculated on when we hear about an official release date for Halo Infinite, ignore this question. So can we ignore this question?
I will answer it.
But we didn't speculate. Pick a date or month when we get the official release date. Joe Staten talked about how a release date will be coming soon, and also mentioned they're currently in shutdown mode for the game, meaning they're doing a once-over on the game and reviewing it. So do you expect a date soon? Gamescom maybe. Or do they make us wait until next month or even early October? Well, we've got COD's date now, November 5th. Forza Horizon's November 9. Put Halo November 15. Now, I understand all these traditionalists, they don't release games on Mondays. Okay, man, we live in a digital world, right? So how about this? How about we compromise? I'm willing to compromise. Put Halo on the 16th, which is the Tuesday, and misses the anniversary by a day. But Game Pass Ultimate subscribers get Halo Infinite on the 15th. That way, it technically releases first on the 15th. You get your anniversary date for those that care about that, like me. But the actual date, since apparently it's illegal for games to release on a Monday, the game can release Tuesday the 16th. How about that?
I'm not against it, but I happen to know that the theory that they're scared or playing chicken with COD isn't true. But having said that, I don't know when the release date is, but I am going to make a guess. I think we will hear when the release date is in September, and I think we will hear it in the first half of September. That's my guess. There we go. I've said it.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
It
is just a guess, but there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Last question. Not Jack. What are your thoughts on the Outriders story about people can fly not knowing how many copies they have sold? Some are spinning it as an anti-Game Pass news story. Of course they are. But it seems like just continued mismanagement from Square Enix with their Western studios. Oh, man, I couldn't believe this. They come to an agreement. Square and Microsoft come to an agreement on how much they're going to get paid to have Outriders on Game Pass. So you can't blame Game Pass for the financial situation of that game. Square took an amount that they were happy with, and I assume People Can Fly would have been a part of that discussion. And remember, Outriders also spent time at the top of the paid games list on on Xbox,
True.
Despite the fact that it was on Game Pass. So the problem's not on the Xbox end. Now on PC, apparently it was one of the best Steam launches of all time. So the problem financially doesn't appear to be with PC. So there's only two things left, PlayStation and Square. Maybe it didn't sell enough on PlayStation to make up for anything. Or maybe it was Square having those dumb, ridiculous expectations that they sometimes have of games. Like, don't you remember when they expected Rise of the Tomb Raider to sell like 73 million copies or something for them to break even, or some ridiculous over-the-top number? Like, maybe it was just Square's dumb expectations. Like, and already, that's Game Pass for you. That's what games like. Nah, man, that's not how that works. Like, that's why I think the upfront system is a good system, because everyone agrees upfront to an amount.
Yeah.
And some games even, I think, I don't know this, but I think some games even get maybe a per download thing. I think. But the only thing they've sort of said that they organise deals up front. So you can't blame Xbox for Square agreeing to an amount if that amount wasn't enough.
Yeah,
that's on Square.
It's a very odd, and I only briefly, because I was on holiday when it was all going on. I didn't really pay attention to it, to be honest, because gaming Twitter is weird. But yeah, I completely agree. I don't think it's going to be anything to do with Game Pass, because they've already had their money from Game Pass, and they probably had extra money from, people that then aren't on Game Pass and say, "Oh, mate, I'm playing this, come play this and buy it," and blah blah blah.
That's
blah.
right.
So, yeah.
It's word of mouth. That's the beauty of Game Pass. It's a word of mouth driver. If your game's legitimately good, the Game Pass word of mouth should sell it on other platforms for people that don't have Game Pass.
Yeah, for sure.
If your game's not good, then it might kill those games on other platforms that don't have Game Pass. So that's why I said that maybe it didn't sell enough on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because maybe those people that played it on Game Pass weren't massive fans of it and were a bit down on it. So PlayStation players were like, I just won't bother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there is a bit of cultism there. Like, if a PlayStation game is hyped as the second coming, which they often are,
which they are,
they all get behind them and buy them. But if it's like, man,
do they buy them? Do they buy them?
Look at Deathloop.
They say they buy them. I think they more just talk about them.
Look at Deathloop.
Returnal sold just over 500,000. That was like, my God, like Returnal was like this unbelievable thing, and then it sold like 500,000 copies. Ratchet was like the greatest looking game of all time, unbelievable, and it sold 1.1. Like, I feel like they just talk about games rather than actually buy them and play them. They just like to talk about them and viral market them, basically, and that's about it.
I don't know.
Just
look at what's happening to Deathloop right now. You know, like I saw like they announced something on Twitter and it got like 650 likes. Like, you could post a leak and you'd get more likes than that. Like, and that's an exclusive game to that platform for a year, and it feels like none of the PlayStation community is behind it.
No, my save file tweet got more likes than that.
It's
that
mad.
was just a dumb joke.
It's so weird. I don't know. Like, that's one thing I will say for Xbox is people genuinely play more games on Xbox. I just don't see, you know, when you hear about, you know, Japanese developers saying, "Oh, there's no point in me releasing that game there because no one buys it." It's like, I just don't see how that's accurate. Like, if you don't put your game here, we're not going to buy it. Like, but there's an audience there, and look at Yakuza, look at those games and how well they've.
I mean, how many copies do a lot of these niche Japanese games actually sell on PlayStation?
God knows.
I'd be like, if something like Returnal, which got a first party push, is only selling 560, 570. Then what is some niche Japanese game selling? Where apparently it's like, nah, we should ignore all other platforms where we could potentially sell more copies. Like,
it's very, very odd, but it is what it is. Come
on.
Yeah, I think that's the end of our community questions. And do you know what's crazy? Just the two of us. I don't know how long that Halo section went on for, but good Lord. We're rocking up on 3 hours right now.
Almost 3 hours.
We're almost the length of watching the Fellowship of the Ring. You know, like
I'm actually shocked it went that long. I didn't. I thought this was going to be a short episode, and it
mate
turned out to be the opposite.
We're chatty fellows. We're conversational, to say the least. Plus, we've had a lovely chat here today that have been very, very chit chatty as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there you go, folks. That's our take on all of the week's latest news, particularly on the disappointing info out of the Halo camp. But we're all gonna get through this together and probably be playing it in like 3 months or something, and won't be too worried anymore. As we said, we mentioned it briefly. Go and follow us on Twitch. We've moved all of our live streams to Twitch.
Is that because of what I said last week?
No. I actually got a message from a very old friend of mine off of Bungie.net who pinged me on Twitter. He was like, "Dude, you got a YouTube channel?" Blah, 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 blah. And he was like, "Hey, you know, like, I've noticed you doing a lot of live streams on your channel, and the downside of that is it just pushes down your discoverability because your hours watched to minutes produced kind of thing is lower because of all your live streams. So you should live stream somewhere else." So yeah, we're going to try that, and I think Jesse has already seen significantly more viewership because people are happy to watch on Twitch. So that's where we're pushing all of our gaming live streams. So things like Coffee with Cabeza, Flew the Coop, anything else we decide to do that isn't podcast orientated. So the podcasts, you had me at Halo, the XboxEra Podcast, they're going to stay on YouTube where we are, because it makes sense. And we'll do that. We'll do it like that, and it'll be fine. So yeah,
because I mentioned last week how there's so many, like, our channel was just thumbnails of just Coffee with Cabeza. It's just all the thumbnails for Coffee with Cabeza. I'm like, oh man, there's got to be some way to make an adjustment here.
Yeah, so we're doing that, and we'll see how it goes. What other exciting updates can I tease? We're still working on something very cool. Slight delay, but it's still happening.
Yeah.
We've also got, and this is bubbling away, and this I haven't teased this yet, but we're also working on something huge for the community overall. And we've now
I'm confused.
I can't really tell
Okay.
you live on air.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
write
probably
it
getting
in.
my things
I'll
mixed
write
up.
it in the Discord so that you can see my note. But yeah, we're working on something really big, and we've actually got a few people from within the Xbox community that are helping us on it.
Oh yeah, I thought so.
And
I got mixed up with which one was which.
yeah, well, the other one is more imminent, but we're still planning the other one. So, oh man, it's just a really exciting time. We're all very, very busy. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel on Monday, because I think a certain video game that is of a Microsoft first-party release variety might be dropping its review, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy what we've put together for that. I will be editing the video for it tomorrow, so I hope that I can make it worthy of the game and of our writer. And then we're going to be carrying on. Expect more giveaways and other things in the interim as we run up to a very, very busy end of the year. I'm on holiday next week, unless I find out that our special guest wants to do next Saturday, in which case I'll move heaven and earth to make it happen.
Because when I remember I said that to you. I go, isn't that going to be an episode you're off that this person's meant to be on? And you're like, nah.
I really hope not, because I don't know. I honestly don't know until I know, and I should know.
I guess I'll have to take the
this
reins
week.
when this guest is on. I am shocked that not a single person in the chat guessed it.
I am shocked. As well.
So many different guesses, and not a single person guessed it. Not one.
Shocking.
I'm actually shocked.
Shocking. But yeah, so without further ado, we'll let everybody go and carry on with their day. I am definitely going to go to bed because it's 2 a.m. So much love to all of our friends and patrons and family. Go check out XboxEra.com. We love you lots, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao for now.
Bye, everyone.